Welcome, everybody, to episode number 35 of the Dragon's Den podcast. We are live on the air tonight on YouTube, on Rumble, on my our Facebooks, and everything. Technical issues be damned, because I know I've been having some issues before we started the show. So let's hope and pray that everything goes well tonight when it comes to the topics, especially. But I've got my buddy Brandon, Sir Spoopington III, Miranda over here on the top right, Matthew in the bottom left, and Aaron joining us for the first time at the beginning of the show for the longest time here lately. So happy to have you guys here. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. It's cold and I don't like it.
Yep, we're gonna get hammered with snow soon.
Yeah, what are they saying? About 5 to 8 inches, I think, maybe Sunday night, something like that. Maybe a little more
Maybe
Monday
some
morning.
ice.
So, don't like that at all. So, yeah, definitely may have to go to the grocery tomorrow just to get a little food, just in case we get snowed in on Monday morning.
If there's any left, I watch people go in and out of the store all day today.
So I'm guessing bread and milk is gone. Yeah,
Probably.
Bad on the first too when we were out.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
It was bad.
Oh,
did you guys went shopping? Was it bad today?
Yeah. And it was just the old people there.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that once, people get off work, some of these young bucks, it's definitely gone.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Why is it that people panic buy before snow?
Especially bread and milk. I don't know.
I don't want to go to the store when it's cold, let alone snowy.
Why did people buy toilet paper for COVID?
Yeah, exactly.
I really.
That was the funniest part.
Yeah, it's like, it's a respiratory thing. It's not, I don't know. I guess maybe they just thought they were going to be locked down for a long time. I don't know, but maybe that's what it was. But couldn't really quite tell you. But yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah. Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here tonight. I know we kind of got something maybe new a little bit later on. I know Miranda wanted to bring up a particular subject, so we might talk about that before we get to football stuff. We got pro wrestling, we've got movie news, we've got a trailer reaction to do, we've got some politics to end the show, as always. So I hope you guys will stick around for all that too. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but we like doing that here on the channel. So I guess without further ado, you just want to get started?
Let's get it.
Let's get rolling. We got a lot of stuff to do. So here we go. Before we do, I guess we got a comment in the chat. Hey, Mike is here tonight. The fun part is the crazies out there who forget how to drive in the snow. Yeah, especially here.
Facts.
Yeah. We're from the snow belt, and I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but pretty good in the snow.
Brother,
it's been a while.
It got crazy living up there. Where we lived on the snow belt, it was insane, dude.
Mm-hmm.
There was one night, and I probably told you guys this story too. There was one night she came home, and it was snowing. It was snowing pretty, it wasn't too bad. She got home from work. I shit you not, dude. I let the dogs outside. About 10 minutes later, I go back outside. Her car is half buried. I'm like, that's crazy work.
I was pushing snow coming in, off the road.
The dogs come in the house. About 10 more minutes after that, I go back and look out the door. Dude, there is snow piled up on the bottom up to towards the window in our door. I was like, yeah, that's trash. I'm not going.
Don't blame me there.
Right by the lake too. It was crazy, man.
Awesome. Well, we got a little sidetracked there, but let's get into the topics. That's all right. Hey, Mike chimed in. We got to answer the chat, right? So, all right. So here we go. Let's get into wrestling. All right, I figured I'd just hit some of the highlights in the news of the world of pro wrestling this week. Nothing too major or anything like that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple returns that we had at AEW World's End this past Saturday. Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge in the WWE, along with FTR, returns at the pay-per-view just in time for AEW's debut on Max this last Wednesday. AEW airing their weekly TV show live on a high-profile streaming service was groundbreaking and innovative, knowing that WWE will likely be copying them within a week. I'm just joking. So everybody calm down there. But at the same time, it is true. I guess WWE will be going on Netflix on Monday. Don't worry, though. We'll be talking about them here in just a minute. So hold your horses when it comes to you WWE fans out there. But like I said, we got the return of Adam Copeland, who is now officially calling himself Cope, which is short for Copeland, clearly. So many online were saying it sounds like something Vince McMahon would have changed his name to, but it's a little different for me when the performer themselves are the ones actually wanting to change the name. So Brandon, any of your guys' thoughts on Adam Copeland, Edge, now calling himself Cope?
Yeah, it's
What do you
dumb.
think about that? You think it's dumb?
So this is the Adam Copeland. Now, here's the thing. I say that to say this. I've been thinking about this because, like, it sounds dumb, but
It does. I think it can
if you
grow on
think
you.
about it in a sense to where it plays into certain stories that his rivalry with Christian, this whole thing. Cope is like, hey, you cope with it. You got to deal with it. So like in one aspect, like I get it. Even that sounds shitty. Ugh. I tried to explain it, and it sounded even dumber.
Well, it's a shame because like Christian, like it could put Cage at the end of it. So Christian Cage,
Mhm.
it's kind of his TNA name and now his AEW name. Edge, you really can't do much with that, to make it work. So I mean,
But I partially get it because like there's a lot of Adams right now in AEW
Yeah,
for some
true
reason.
too.
And on one hand, I understand it. Like Christian Cage, and then there's what Brian Cage. So I understand you're just going, you know what, Christian
Adam Hangman
that's fine.
Page.
But Adam Hangman Page, it's like, okay, there's that one. Then
Adam
it's Adam
Cole.
Copeland, Adam Cole. So like, if you just would have went with Copeland, I don't think anybody would have cared. But it's just the Cope thing. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of it is just it's so new too. I really do. I mean, just
yeah, but Cope sounds. Come on.
I agree. It sounds so weird right now. I'm not going to lie to you. Mike says I just can't cope with the name change.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's a crazy word right
Again,
there, brother.
That would be the tagline. You know what I'm saying? Like it would work
cope
for
with
him. Yeah, like I can see the merchandising behind it.
I can see the crowds chanting "Cope, Cope, Cope." Yeah, I can see that.
It'll be the new what chant? That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Cope. Yeah,
don't do
Cope?
that.
Question mark.
Don't do
But like I said,
you suck.
It's not. I mean, it's not as bad as like Butch when they renamed Pete Dunne or Vince McMahon did that. In my opinion, which was terrible. Which I find ironic now. Pete Dunne is beating up anybody who called him Butch, so I think that's hilarious too. So that's always fun. But like I said, it's a little different for me when the superstar himself is the one who wants to do the name change. Here's a video of him being interviewed by Renee Paquette explaining the name change.
Have you gotten used to being ring announced as Adam Copeland?
Not really.
Isn't that trippy?
It's a little weird. But I walk in rooms and pyro goes off.
Yeah, see?
It's in my contract.
We know that you're here. He's arrived.
I'm trying to little by little segue it to Cope.
Yes, the Cope Open.
Just Cope.
Yeah, Cope.
Because the radar superstar Adam Copeland is very wordy. But I'm thinking if I'm looking at a marquee and I go, ooh, Cope versus Mox.
Cope just sounds cool. Cope versus Mox. When are we going to get that? What are we going to say about that? Okay.
Nice little tease there because obviously when he returned on Saturday, he went face-to-face with Mox. So they're clearly setting up this match to be the world title picture direction for AEW moving forward.
Okay.
So, I mean, interesting to note too, when Jon Moxley was in WWE with the Shield, obviously he was teamed with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns over there. And now Adam Copeland Edge has clearly gone toe to toe with every single member of the Shield. And he's about to complete that trifecta by going up against Moxley here in AEW. So thoughts on this potential world title feud with Mox versus Cope?
He got every last one of them like that. That's crazy.
Every last one of them.
Yeah.
We talked about this on a couple podcasts ago where I was saying that AEW needed a headliner match, and it looks like that could be the one that I was talking about.
Well, here's my opinion.
That brings people in,
and it's only my opinion here. If this is gonna help them, I don't know, give some structure to this whole Moxley thing, cool. I'm all for it. I like both wrestlers. I don't think the talent. Here's the thing: the talent isn't the issue for me. The talent's not the issue. They can put on a match, and I'm perfectly fine with it. It's the story going into it. Where's the direct? That's all I care about. The direction of where this is going, and then how these pieces fit into it. Like I would have loved to know, like, what's Cope's motivation here, other than that they beat up FTR.
Well, coming in and saving the company that Edge or Cope loves to work for now.
Yeah, but what's he
guess,
saving
but-
it from? Like that was the whole issue here.
Again, it was the way Mox was going about destroying AEW, tearing it down to create it in his image. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
But
again, aside from that, like that's like I said, it's not the talent. These guys, I'm sure they can go in and put on a fucking 5-star banger, and I'm here for it. It's just I just want it to make sense.
Yeah.
Cope though. I mean, hey buddy, I'll say
I like I said that though. Cope versus Mox does have a
yeah.
certain ring to it, I suppose. Like I said,
Yeah.
I think it's something I could grow to get used to.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like when they changed, what was it? Gunther's name, Walter.
Yeah.
When they changed it from Walter to Gunther, I was like, I don't know if I like Gunther. Now I just kind of roll with Gunther. It doesn't really bother me anymore.
So is he saying like I guess the rated R superstar Adam Copeland was too much, but the rated R superstar Cope, I guess it's the rated R superstar.
I bet half the time they don't say rated R superstar, they just say Cope. But
probably
The Cope.
yeah, the Cope.
it's
I ain't gonna lie,
amount,
it sounds funny.
it's the
sounds
same
very
amount of
funny.
layers as the Edge was. That's crazy.
That very too.
So I guess-
Mike in the chat said, "Can we shorten Mark?" I'm thinking he meant Mark Henry, not Mary Henry. Mark Henry's name to Hen.
I'm not calling him that. I promise you that.
No.
You can just call him Mark. I mean, that's
I'm not
Yeah,
calling
you
him
just stick with
How
Mark.
about just
Like,
Mark
stick with
Henry?
Mark.
I'm not
But
calling
there's-
somebody.
But then you could just call him Adam. There's too many Marks.
But
Yeah.
there's
How
two.
about just Mark Henry?
Hold on.
see what she
There was
said.
Mark Merrow and Mark Henry. Nah, he's good. There's two. I think if you get more than two, that's an issue. You know what I mean? I just think Copeland would have sufficed. But again, I get it. Cool. I'll get used to it. Yeah, it's like any other name change, I guess. You'll get used to it after a while.
I agree with that. It does sound like they've not confirmed this or anything yet, but it sounds like the potential Cope versus Mox match may be the main event for AEW Grand Slam in Australia. Big event they've got coming up here on Valentine's Day weekend. So that could very well be the headliner there. Could be at AEW Revolution in March. We don't quite know just yet, but it definitely sounds like that is the direction they're going. As ever since Cope came back at World's End, he's definitely gotten the better of John Moxley and the Death Riders. So they're definitely played it up to where they're actually a legitimate threat to the Death Riders' reign right now in AEW for sure. Also at AEW World's End this last Saturday, we got the return of Kenny Omega. He returned in his EVP role, awarding the Continental Classic Championship belt to Kazuchika Okada after he won the Continental Classic tournament. And they're basically already promoting this as a potential match and a main event at AEW All in Texas. This shot that they had at the pay-per-view was clearly intentional with the logo in the background. Obviously, this would be the first time these two would have wrestled each other on American soil. And I know Brandon in particular remembers the classics that these two have
Brother,
had.
they burned it down.
Wrestling.
Wrestle Kingdom.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So these guys have got
Yeah.
history.
That was the first time you've seen him. Was
Yeah.
no. Yeah, it was. It was the first time you've seen Kenny and Okada in a match. I showed we watched was it Wrestle Kingdom 11?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Outstanding
was a
match.
hell of a match, dude.
Banger and a half, dude. So if they were
It was
able to
like-
pull
they
off
went
that at all in July,
They went
Ugh.
35 minutes. It was fucking insane. Like
I think Kenny Omega is supposed to make his in-ring return against Gabe Kidd. I think at Wrestle Dynasty
yes.
coming up here in a couple weeks or whatnot.
Yeah.
so yeah.
So here's my only
Maybe this
issue with
weekend,
any of
actually.
this.
Yeah.
My only issue with any of this. There should be no reason Kenny is associated with the EVPs and all after what happened.
Well, technically, he's kind of not because the Young Bucks are off television. Jack Perry's off television. Kazuchika Okada is the one who's kind of been with the Elite. That's kind of still on television at the moment due to the Continental Classic tournament. But bringing Kenny in to kind of, and again, he handed the belt to him, but it's almost a respect thing. But at the same time, it's like, I got you going forward. Like, it's going to be me and you. So I don't think he's going to be a part of the EVPs outside of just that.
I hope not. I like Kenny. Don't get me wrong. As the leader of the Bullet Club, he was great. I loved what he like. Hill Kenny, the cleaner, was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what we should have saw, though. You know what I mean? Like we should have got the cleaner, the Terminator, whatever, Kenny Omega. That's who we should have got coming back.
Right.
But who knows, you know? And I know his first. I feel like his first match back though should have been for AEW, but I get why he's doing the thing with New
Well,
Japan.
the Wrestle Dynasty too is also it's like
Part of, yeah.
Forbidden Door. It's AEW and New Japan, a joint venture. So
Mhm.
I got no problem with that. I guess again and again, Kenny's roots and stuff in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It makes a lot of sense for them to do that.
Especially he's coming back after that whole was it diverticulitis thing?
Yeah, same thing Brock Lesnar
Like
had.
he almost effing died.
Yeah. He was close to death, I think, in like his last match. They said, but you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell at all.
Miranda, he was wrestling hurt. Like when I say hurt, besides the diverticulitis, because he found that out afterwards. His back, his knees, his shoulders, like he carried AEW for a while, hurt the whole time, and then he found out right after he decided to take some time off after he lost that title about the whole diverticulitis thing, and like he was close to death. It was crazy. I watched a couple of his streams because I follow him on Twitch.
All right, part of me wants to say this, and the other part of me don't. But you know what? Then you got people like Anthony Richardson.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're going to talk about Anthony. We're going to talk about the whole state of the Colts organization here in a little while.
Yeah,
it got a little heated today, boy. Like
later topic,
man. But no, Kenny is. I know a lot of people don't like him. I mean, it is what it is. You call him a spot monkey, whatever the case may be. I like Kenny. I like his work.
And
again,
alive.
I'm not a fan of all the high spots and shit. But Kenny, for me, knows when to do them. Doesn't overdo them. He makes shit look important. And I believe if anybody can bring back the Okada that we saw in New Japan, then it's Kenny. And I feel like because
it's funny you mentioned that.
I feel like it's not the same. Like Okada, dude, there was Okada. Like, people use that whole aura nowadays.
Yeah,
like, but legitimately, that's what Okada had in New Japan. Like that crowd. When we watch the New Japan shows, the crowd is fairly silent through the whole. When they the entrances because it's all part of the show. Like they're very respectful. They give respect to the wrestlers. So like, it's all very quiet and applaud when it's supposed to applaud. But like. When you heard that change drop for the Rainmaker theme song, like that crowd went fucking nuts for him.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Kenny. But like we haven't seen that here.
Well, here's the thing though. I'm gonna cut you off real quick though. At World's End last Saturday, it was ironic because like literally we talked about this just like last week or the week before about how Okada doesn't have the aura or Will Ospreay doesn't have that same aura that they've had over there. But I'm not gonna lie to you. That match that Ospreay and Okada had in the Continental Classic last Saturday, they both had that aura again, especially Okada. And then Kenny comes out immediately afterwards. So I'm just saying it might be kind of rearing its head again.
But it's like, why didn't that you get him? But that could have been if Okada was already that at that point, and then him and that Ospreay match would have just been even through the roof because it's like. Yeah, it's Okada. You expect that shit. And then Kenny to come out, you would lose your fucking mind because you're like, oh, we can, you know what I mean? But like him being relegated to what he was just like this, I don't know. It just didn't make me feel like it's Okada. The first two times when you ever seen him in AEW, when he came in, the one time to save Kenny and the other time I think he like saved somebody else from Kenny. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, it was amazing because it's like, it's fucking Okada. And like, that's, when he was signing, I assumed that's what we were getting. And then we got a dude who learned how to flip people off and the English word for bitch.
Which I'm sorry, I love that part of his gimmick though. I'm not gonna lie. And I think a lot of the aura stuff too is also one of those things like American audiences didn't know much about Kenny Omega or Okada or Will Ospreay or some of these guys that AEW is really, hitching their wagon to at this point, along with some of the ex-WWE guys, of course, as well. But at the same time, it takes a little time to kind of build that aura, I think, here in the States.
And another thing, like even Shibata, when he first showed up, like we watched Shibata in some bangers too, in New Japan before the brain aneurysm thing, which he came back from, which is crazy work anyway, because like he wasn't supposed to be doing that shit no more. I will say this: no headbutts, so good for him. He stopped doing that shit. When I tell you this dude was headbutting people for real. he was headbutting people for real, and it ended up getting
somebody was headbutting in the last pay-per-view. I can't remember who it was.
It better not been Shibata.
No, it wasn't Shibata. Yeah, he wasn't on the show that
But
night.
Shibata was a part of that whole old school shoot wrestler, like legitimately a shoot wrestler. That punt kick was devastating because he fucking nailed you with it every time.
Yeah.
And even him, but I will say I do love the fact that he translates from Japanese to English on his phone just to talk shit to people.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a while, or at least I've watched. He's been on Ring of Honor of late. I've not seen a whole lot of Ring of Honor.
And Ring of Honor is a great place for him to be.
Oh yeah,
Great
absolutely.
place for him to be.
Good play. And I'm hoping AEW can kind of use the Ring of Honor brand a little more moving forward, especially with Max. Maybe they'll get some sort of.
Yeah. But anyway, back to as long as we get that, as long as we get that Wrestle Kingdom versions of Okada and Omega, I'm down.
Yeah, for AEW's biggest show of the year, that could definitely be a great matchup for sure. As long as you build the story right between now and then, for sure.
Yep.
Mike said Don Callis will now be referred to as Cal,
right.
or just Don. He's already
Don. Yeah, why? Why you gotta call him Cal?
Yeah, you gotta call him like Kal-El or something. But
hey, just listen.
Cal.
Do you know who Kal-El is? Not you, Eric, because you should know.
Yeah, I know who Kal-El is.
Matt, do you know who Kal-El is?
Not really. I'm not.
It was almost the name of my son.
It was almost Jaden's name.
No, that was Jackson.
No, it was Jaden. Kal-El was Jaden first, and you told
me no.
Seen
a Superman
movie,
I tried
to do it with
I refer to Jaden as Derek.
That's crazy business.
And you know why I do that.
Mike also said in the chat, a serious question. With the new Max deal, will pay-per-views be available to stream next day on Max? I don't know, because Max is one of those things with AEW where even though their pay-per-views are on Max, I think you still have to pay something for them when I don't think they're doing the pay-per-views on Max just yet. I think it's still the traditional pay-per-view method. But eventually, I think the idea is to put them on Max. And once they do, I think they said the pay-per-views, you still have to pay for them, but it would be at a reduced rate. So it would be like you're paying for the Max subscription, plus you're probably paying.
See, that's ass.
Which kind of sucks. I want it to be like the WWE Network where you get it with the subscription. Yeah.
Because I'm paying for this. Like the same thing with Peacock. Peacock, like I'm paying for Peacock, so I get the pay-per-views because they're on Peacock.
Is that still the case now that they're moving to Netflix? I don't even know.
I know the deal with Peacock isn't up yet, so I doubt it will be any changes. And
I think a lot of the Raw library is supposed to be on Netflix now. So that means, as far as I know, I think it was supposed to be off of Peacock. So if that's the case, WWE, the entire library wouldn't be on Peacock no more. So I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe we'll find out.
But if they start to do live shows on Netflix, and if you pay for Netflix, you probably just get the live pay-per-views there, I would assume. That's a smarter business model. And then they could package deal, anybody who already has it is grandfathered in, but then like if you're a new sign up, it's probably a package deal you could do with WWE and Netflix, I would assume.
I know AEW, they started streaming obviously Dynamite and Collision this week. And I think I know it's kind of like when WWE Network first started, AEW's slow rolling their content onto Max. I think you have the entire first year of Dynamite on Max right now as well. So I think they'll eventually get it all on there, but it's going to take some time, much like it did the WWE Network. And Michael also said Superman to Matt. Yes. That's Kal-El.
It's Kal-El as Superman.
Cal, come on, man.
I was definitely trying to get my kid's name that Miranda said. She shot it down.
I want to learn you up in the ways of the geek before this podcast ends. It's on here on the channels for sure. But anyway, moving on to
Steel.
Yes, exactly. Man of Steel.
Yes,
exactly.
What are we doing here?
Anyway, on the WWE side of things in the wrestling news this week, it was announced on SmackDown last week that Kevin Owens will be wrestling Cody Rhodes in a ladder match at Royal Rumble in Indianapolis.
When is your favorite match?
I'm glad I'm not going to that freaking show.
But it's going to be Cody Rhodes hanging up the new version of the WWE Championship against Kevin Owens, who stole the Winged Eagle Championship belt. They'll be hanging both for the undisputed title.
The fact that he has that title still is fucking hilarious.
I wish they just use it going forward, but that's just.
I think they should, and I think they will. Kevin Owens,
I think so.
has hit a stride.
Oh, wait a minute.
Last 2 years.
Pat's gonna be there, right? He'll be calling those men.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Football's not gonna be over yet.
It should be.
Well, I think Pat's duties are pretty much done during the regular season. I know he's back on Raw. Last I checked,
because he only does it. He sticks around for college.
Yeah, in college they probably don't need him now. The
Okay.
playoffs are starting.
Yeah.
Bowl games.
So like,
Yeah.
But Kevin Owens has hit this stride these last 2 years, 2.5 years,
Especially in the
and
last several months.
oh my god, his work these last couple months with Cody has been fucking
And Randy Orton and the
phenomenal.
whole spiel there, too.
Phenomenal. And it's like now it's like I'm not even gonna say it's at his zenith, but it's at this point with Kevin where it's like I fucking love this guy. Like even though he's a total asshole, I fucking love this guy.
But he's doing his job well, and that's all that really matters. So yes, definitely looking forward to this. I know Miranda is not a big fan of ladder matches, but remember Kevin Owens.
Not when those two are gonna kill themselves, fucking doing it.
Oh yeah, you know Cody's going to throw himself off something high.
Yeah, Cody's going to be one big ass bruise.
Well, it's funny because they're doing this storyline right now where Kevin Owens gave Cody Rhodes like this package pile driver right on the top of his head, and then put him out for a couple weeks or whatever it was. Now there is a video going around online of a ladder set up here and a ladder set up here.
Yeah, I know it's El Generico.
And Kevin Owens doing that package pile driver on a wrestler back in the day. I would not be surprised. Yeah, Sami Zayn. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Owens does this or tries to do this to Cody Rhodes in this match. If it does, I'm going to probably lose.
Kevin Owens wins this match.
You think he wins the titles?
Kevin wins the titles because then it'll set up him and Sammy, and him and Sammy. Oh my lord!
Oh my god!
If you crown Sammy, maybe Sammy wins the Royal Rumble. You could. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't do that. It would definitely be not the way I thought they'd go for certain.
Brother.
Then again, a lot of the way I thought they were going to go may hinge on whether or not The Rock shows up for WrestleMania. We still don't know yet. So a lot of rumors going around. What may happen.
I will say I literally loved Kevin Owens' work this last 2 years. Like seriously, like you want to know what it's like to be a heel when watch him slowly. Like a slow burn, and then the fact that he turns heel isn't even on fucking camera. It's in a backyard, a parking lot incident that somebody captured on their cell phone,
which is what made it more realistic. And they aired it. It was great. So yeah, more of this, please. And WWE's doing much better in the last ever since Vince basically left. So yes, keep this up. Absolutely love it. On the blue brand side of things, though, SmackDown this week, as of tonight, as of right now on USA Network, SmackDown is moving to 3 hours. Do you believe this is necessary? A 3-hour wrestling event every single week. Now, like WWE Raw was 3 hours for a long time on USA, but now it's moving to Netflix. Apparently, it's staying at 3 hours on Netflix too. So
Netflix wanted that shit at 3 hours, buddy.
That means that WWE every single week now will be putting out 8 hours of content every single week if you include NXT on Tuesday nights. Overkill or what do you think?
Good for the wrestlers. They got money. They get paid.
It's good for the talent.
If they're going to give everybody, if they're trying to give people TV time, they've got a lot of wrestlers, you know?
And it'll help flesh out a lot of the stories. There's a lot of stories going on right now in both SmackDown and Raw. Like this whole female thing with Bianca, Jade Cargill, and Naomi right now. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how that goes as well. Yeah.
Oh, Bianca's turning heel like a motherfucker.
There's not really a whole. I mean, there's maybe a few storylines I'm not really feeling, but there's very, very few that aren't working for me on WWE program.
The tag division,
they're doing pretty good.
Crazy. Dude, there's
now. Granted, I don't watch NXT much.
I don't either, and I feel bad because NXT's been killing it.
Yeah, and I've heard they've been doing great. It's just kind of one of those. It's kind of like me when I watch college football. Sometimes I don't know who they are until they reach the pro level or the main roster in this case. Like, but that's
Trick Williams right now is, and like to think about Trick Williams because of what's his name? Hayes. Carmelo Hayes. Him being put with Carmelo Hayes in the beginning of his NXT, you just thought he was a side man. Okay, cool. But then Trick started to come into his own, and then that whole beef between him and Carmelo, and then him beating Carmelo at one of the takeovers, and then him beating Dragunov for that title because Dragunov was crushing it.
Oh yeah, before he got hurt.
Yeah,
he'll be back soon. Yeah,
and him beating Dragunov for that title, like Trick, and then to bring in all ego Ethan Page and that's whole story
Yeah, they've been doing a good job.
Now
With
with
the
the
base, I think, from what I
big
heard.
ass Femi. Oh my god, that is a monster of a guy, by the way. Me and
Oh, is it
Jackson.
Obi? Is it Obi Femi?
Oba Femi.
Oba Femi. Okay.
Oba Femi.
See,
He
I
is
need
a
to start watching
massive
more.
man. Even
Thing
the
is,
women, like it's NXT. NXT feels a need for me. I'm sorry. Of indie wrestling, but on a grander scale because it's
right.
national television. That's that fix for me. Every time I watch NXT, it's like watching an indie show, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like I don't, you know what I mean?
No,
What
there's
you
nothing
trying
wrong
to
with
say,
indie
man?
shows in particular, anyway. But yeah,
But with production, and
yeah.
it's also like we seen an indie show that got taped and it aired on Saturdays. I want to say that it was,
Oh
and it
yeah,
was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
fun.
cool. Like we went to a
Definitely more
live
intimate
show.
setting. Yeah.
It was dope at the out at the
Like,
mall. I can't remember the little
I-
center.
that
But
was-
anyway, but it's
it
dope.
was like a fairground somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's dope. You know what I'm saying? Those are cool. I love those. But that's what that's the feel and what I get from NXT, and it fills that little gap for me in my wrestling need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's NXT is dope. If you get a chance to watch just one episode, whatever, just watch, dude. And like they also do like the show pay-per-views too. You know, where they'll have a pay-per-view on a Wednesday night or whatever, you know what I mean, a Tuesday night
like
or whatever. It's like boop, there
regular
you go.
show. I think they do pay-per-views on the weekends as well, but yeah, they do kind of like big
Because
shows
their
during the week too.
takeovers used to crush.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
NXT's takeovers were fucking mental.
With NXT, it's just more about finding time. Like I
Yes.
always try to make time for Raw and SmackDown. I always make time for Dynamite and Collision, but
Mhm.
sometimes NXT and Ring of Honor just don't make the cut because I don't have enough time in my life for all of this. I just don't.
Now, can I ask you a question? Because I haven't seen any of ROH. How is it? Is it good?
It reminds me of an NXT. Sometimes maybe the stories ain't as cohesive, but the wrestling's good. It's just a lot of names. Sometimes they're just trying to, get their feet wet a little bit.
I got you.
Some of it. Now, obviously, they got their Athenas over there, and I think Jericho was even world champion there for a while. Actually, I think he's still the world champion right now.
I know Mark
over there.
Briscoe's over there occasionally.
Mark Briscoe's used to be the champion as well, so
Samoa
they've got
Joe.
names as well. And the
Yeah.
pay-per-views are usually I usually at least try to watch the pay-per-views. I may not always keep up with the storylines, but I at least try to watch those for sure. Mike said another chat. He said, "Who should win the men's Royal Rumble match?"
There's too many people who you could say could win it.
Depends on where you're going. I mean, you could always do Cena. You could do CM Punk. CM Punk could challenge Roman Reigns. I mean, there's
Punk. There's Cena.
hell, I wouldn't mind seeing Jey Uso do it, but it might be a little too early.
Dude, Jey Uso would be great. Money in the Bank for Jey.
Yeah, Money in the Bank for Jey. That'd be a good one.
Who else?
Just depends on who's the champion. If
Drew
Cody retains,
McIntyre,
you could.
Braun Breaker.
I've heard rumors of Roman Reigns could win it and then face either Cody or The Rock. Probably not Cody, but probably The Rock, if that was the case. But again, I think it just all depends on what the WrestleMania plan, obviously. Sammy could.
There's a lot of guys, dude, that you could.
And that's good because it's unpredictable that way.
Would you let Jade make her if she's able to? I don't know what her clearance is on when she returns.
Jade Cargill?
Yeah.
From what I understand, that was all Angle, and I think she's filming something at the moment. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But I think that's the case.
But do you think she wins the women's? She makes a surprise entrance?
Oh, I can see her, coming in and eliminating maybe the woman who took her out, possibly. I can see that.
Bianca. Because that's who did it.
Then you got to figure she might come back a heel anyway because upset that Naomi is taking her spot.
Nah, she'll be a big baby face when she gets back. They're gonna turn Bianca will be the heel. I promise you that much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Oh, Bianca will be. Okay.
On some I did it for the Rock type shit.
Okay. I can see that maybe. Yeah, fair. That'd be funny to see her say, "I did it."
I would die. If
That'd be hilarious.
I did it for me. So I'd die.
But as for the Red brand here on WWE, Raw will be debuting on Netflix this Monday. For the first Raw of 2025, we have a huge pay-per-view level stack card for this show, headlined by Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, Tribal Combat for the Ulafala.
What the heck's the Ulafala?
It's that neck piece that Roman Reigns or Solo wears around their neck to become the
very
tribal
sacred chief. Fucking neck piece.
It's basically a championship on its own.
Yeah.
At this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I said this tonight, and I only caught part of it. I was Paul Heyman cutting a promo. And I said to Miranda when she came in here, I said, I love Paul Heyman.
Who doesn't?
Paul Heyman has the ability to take two people while simultaneously trashing one and building up the other. He uplifts both fucking guys.
Yeah.
Think about where Solo was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
To now standing on his own without Roman, without Paul Heyman as a mouthpiece, leading three other guys. In this promo, Paul Heyman solidified and verified the toughness of all three of those guys. He said, Tamatonga, not even allowed in the U.S. That's why they were over Japan. Tangaloa, not even allowed in the U.S. That's why he was in New Japan. And Jacob Fatu, and if you could see the visceral that he had when he said Jacob Fatu, he said isn't even allowed out of the American prison system.
Great line. Okay.
And yet Solo's able to wrangle all three of those guys. They follow his lead.
Right.
So again, he's comparing Solo and to Roman. And if you think about that on paper, there's no way Solo is in the same playing field as Roman. But in this promo, he put the motherfuckers on evil playing field.
Even
Not one felt bigger than the other. It felt like either one of these guys could win this match. And like Paul is so good at that.
I would almost rather Solo hold on to the Ulafala a little longer and let Roman chase it even further. Again, it depends on what you got planned for Roman coming up the next few months. But
it's like I said to you last time, Roman has not learned his lesson. Nobody understands that, like except for, and that's why this whole thing with Seth Rollins and Drew. You know how right they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they look like the bad guys here, but they are so right. He goes,
their logic is sound.
He hasn't learned anything. He's going to do the same thing he's been doing because he hasn't apologized for doing it in the first fucking place to no one. And
think he ever will?
No, eventually. And I think that'll be the biggest face turn for Roman when it happens.
Well, he's already a face.
But you got, I mean,
no, he means like a face.
You're talking about character wise, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
he's still operating as if he was the old tribal chief, still dictate. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing's changed with him.
Yeah. I was going to ask, does Roman Reigns and some of these, obviously with SmackDown going to 3 hours, Netflix on 3 hours, how many of these roster, members change brands because of this? I know they had this transfer portal that they've been promoting, which they haven't really done a whole lot with yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns is up on Raw or
gotta watch out for the transfer portal.
I know
it's kind of.
And I'm with you.
Very college of him.
I think Roman loses.
Okay,
I think it makes sense for him to lose.
Yeah. This show also has CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. I think that feud needs to end here. They've even kind of been teasing like this is the end of the road here. And of course, it's got the returning John Cena, which here we go with the
refresh.
Returning John Cena. John Cena going to start his final tour here in WWE, his final year. John Cena. Yeah, I said it wrong.
John Cena.
But yeah, I was dealing with the refreshing. See when I'm having these technical difficulties. But anyway, we'll see.
He looks so old.
Well, compared to where he was back in the early 2000s.
I'm just saying, it's like it's one of those things where it's like, I watched this man. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
God, he's so old.
Finish him.
The bald spot is what makes me go, you look old, brother. I mean, I knuckled under and I just shave it off now. But John's still trying to make it work. The ball cap on is fine. Trust me. That's why I wear hats too. I totally understand, John. And I love you for following me on X. If you're watching, thank you very much. But at the same time, I understand.
This week I was actually told I looked younger by one of my drivers.
Oh, wow. This week I got glasses and I wore them to work. Everybody's getting compliments. I got fucking bullied by somebody who wears glasses.
Hey, 4 eyes.
Bro, dead ass. I walk in, I see Holt, old man Holt, and he wears glasses. He looks at me and goes, "Hey, what's up, 4 eyes?" I'm like, no shot. Like, you wear glasses. What are we talking about here?
I mean, that's how he knew to use that. He's had to use it on him a few times, for sure.
Anyway, I'm sorry. That was
Bro,
hurt my
that-
feelings.
no, you're fine. You're fine. I also now they've not confirmed this yet or anything for Monday Night
They
Raw
have.
this week.
They have. Don't give me that. They have.
Yeah, they pretty much have though. We're probably getting the debut of Penta, El Cero Mero,
Cero
or whatever they end up choosing to call him
Mero.
on WWE. But it sounds like he'll probably be on Monday Night Raw this week as well.
What do you mean? They're gonna call him his name. That's his name.
Well, yeah, I just don't know. I think AEW shortened it to just Penta at one point. There's a few times, a few different iterations of it. But
L0.
I want to say, I could be wrong on this, but I want to say that they mentioned something on Raw last week about potentially Rey Mysterio needing a partner this week. Would not be surprised if that is where they slot Penta in. Which again, the one thing I don't want them to just do with Penta is just, oh, well, he's Mexican, so let's just put him with all like Rey Mysterio and all the luchadors and stuff.
No, I think
you can branch these guys out to do other feuds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this is a holdover to his brother.
It's very possible. He's got to do something. He'll probably have a bit of a singles run, and then when Ray Phoenix becomes available, he'll probably end up in WWE as well. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him this week, though. But again, not 100% guaranteed, so I don't want to promise anything to anybody. But definitely look for that
They
debut.
literally showed his symbol and his mask. You're seeing him next
Is
week.
he supposed to look like a knockoff Batman?
First of all, put some respect on El Cero Mero or he'll break your fucking arm. Don't ever in life disrespect Miranda. Listen.
I'm
took
just
that a little
asking
personal.
question.
Like, fam.
He looks ugly as hell.
Okay,
Bruh.
both of y'all,
I thought
we'll talk.
listen, I
I'ma
thought it
beat y'all
was a joke.
You know, Brandon.
up. Out here dissing my goat, bruh.
Brandon, you know, like one of those like Chihuahuas. They like have the
Is it because he's Mexican? Man?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's what he looks like.
That's wild.
Like,
nigga.
You get us canceled, it's your fault. I'll tell you right
That's
now.
wild.
And well, we're on Rumble too, so hopefully we'll be good. But anyway,
Anyway,
give us a
just
follow
letting
on
you
Rumble.
know.
Speaking of Mexican and Chihuahuas, remember the dog from Taco Bell?
Oh, no,
yeah, what about him?
I was just wanting to bring him up.
as soon as
We're
she
not
said
the
it, I was
first
like,
one
she's
to
gonna say Taco
reference
Bell.
it.
She's gonna say Taco Bell.
Anyway,
It was nice being on the
Pentagon-
air, y'all. Yeah.
Pentagon is great. I love Pentagon. I'm super pumped that he's going to WWE. You think about potential matches that he could have, whether it's solo or a tag team. He's good solo. His brother's good solo. But together, Ray Phoenix and Pentagon are crazy work. And think about like once, because it's not like the Usos aren't going to get back together. I think that's going to happen. You got the New Day. You got
War Raiders.
War Raiders. You got DIY.
You got DIY. You got Austin Theory and Grayson Waller.
That ain't gonna be lasting too much longer.
You got the Motor City Machine Guns.
Motor
I mean,
City Machine Guns now, brother. They've
got a good tag team. Now it's just different shows, but at the same time, yeah, they got a good roster.
See why they
all the way
need
around.
more time?
Yeah, that's very well be true. All right, so yeah, I guess that'll do it for pro wrestling this week. Yeah, let's move on to our next topic, and that is of course
football.
no movies. Movies comes first. Why is Matt so giddy and excited about
I don't
this?
know. Matt's on that shit.
Because most
That's on
people
another
don't
one today.
understand my sense of humor.
Matt is on that shit.
Well, I'm
These
on 3 hours of
glasses.
sleep, so
I'm
I'm sure I'm
looking.
going to get slapped at before it's over with. Too.
Oh, I got none.
I'm
Well,
looking
just- oh.
dapper as hell in my glasses, big
Sorry,
guy.
I was giving Jasper the death stare.
Oh, brother. Oh, well, it's all right. I can't give it right back to you.
Damn
Well,
it.
to start off the movie portion this week, this is why normally on the channel I tend to stick to confirmed news and not rumors. To follow up on last week, where we speculated whether or not Robert Pattinson's The Batman would be merging with the new DCU.
Yeah.
Well, we got our first look at the DCU Batman yesterday in season 1, episode 6 of Creature Commandos, the first official DCU project currently streaming on Max. And unless Robert Pattinson has been eating his Wheaties, he ain't joined the DCU.
Batman is thick as hell, big dog.
Yeah.
he
So
looks like the Hulk.
Why is he so wide?
I mean, eating them, Krispy Kremes. So yeah.
That belt looks like it adds 40 pounds. That's
He's got
crazy.
Maybe that's like the new Hulkbuster Batman outfit.
First of all, Hulk is not in there, so that's
Looks
I
enough.
like that
know.
wrestler
I'm
was
just saying,
about
like,
to be-
equivalent. I couldn't think of what's Hulk's equivalent in the DC.
Shit.
Solomon
Killer
Grundy.
Croc?
That's a good one.
Rhino?
Solomon
No.
Grundy.
Oh, that's a much more.
Yeah, I would go Solomon and Grundy.
Yeah.
Solomon Grundy.
Gorilla Grodd, maybe.
Maybe
I
it's
don't
the
know.
Solomon
Solomon
Grundy,
Grundy, or it's Killer
This is
Croc.
why I'm looking forward to DC stuff coming forward. Because
Who
they're doing
the
gods and
fuck would
monster
be
stuff.
the
They're going to introduce us
equivalent-
to new characters we don't know about. So Eric Frankenstein right now is on Creature Commandos, which would be a good rival for the Hulk. But anyway, so if it does end up being the look of the new Batman, I know it's hard to tell because he's kind of got a silhouette thing going on here. But if you look closely, it's kind of hard to see. But you can see he's got white out eyes. Looks like he's got possibly wearing a blue suit. But it's kind of hard to tell because you got lightning flash in the background. So it could just be from the lightning. He looks like he might be wearing the underoos. And he's definitely got a huge utility belt. He's definitely wearing that.
Definitely wearing the underoos.
You think
I tell you what, this Batman don't skip leg day. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, you don't skip Taco Day either. But
why does he look so fucking? Listen, and I think maybe it's the shading. Okay,
maybe,
but he looks like he just got off the couch and decided he had to go protect the city. It was like
he's like that belt,
like he got that dad bod. And like I said, it could just be the lighting without real contrast and
right.
detail in his gear. It probably looks thicker than what it's supposed to be.
And I do believe that is by design. So let me get into this story a little bit here. So perhaps the words of James Gunn, the co-head over at DC Studios, are indeed true, and the Batman is staying separate from the DCU. And to be clear, that does not mean our reporting last week was wrong, yet at least. Maybe merging the two is still a possibility, and this could just be a silhouette stand-in until they decide what to do with the Batman character. Let's listen to what DC Studios co-head James Gunn himself had to say about the Batman yesterday. If I could find the clip. What did I do with it? I might have deleted it. Oh, got it. Well, anyway, he basically was just saying that he said that when they originally got the storyboards for Creature Commandos, he was looking at the designs and stuff for the character because he was going to be more in the episode. But he said he wasn't ready to commit to that look. He wasn't ready to commit to that. He wasn't ready to commit to that. So he said more silhouette for the Batman character in Creature Commandos. So we just saw that quick shot of him I just showed you there with the image. So in that regard, that's probably why he didn't want to go into all the details on it. So it's important to also keep in mind that Creature Commandos was written before James Gunn took over DC Studios, and the Batman in the show was likely modeled after Ben Affleck for the most part. So that would maybe explain a little bit more of the bulky hood nature of this Batman right here, just from the looks of things. But yeah, let's see here. The quick look could just be a generic version of what the design of the new Batman will be, since the actual design doesn't appear to be finalized yet, but it is as close as a look as we've gotten so far, and they animated it this way with Gunn's consultation. So at least this might be a general idea of what the Batman the DCU could potentially look like. But again, that's definitely no Robert Pattinson here. I will. Yeah.
I think it could be.
Maybe.
Yeah. I just think it was, like I said, without, how you can see the detail and all this other shit. Like, I think the suit in a silhouette version it looks big, shadows and all this other shit. So like, it just looks.
Yeah. It's supposed to look intimidating. That's all. I'm just preaching. Don't look at that image from Creature Commandos and go, well, that's exactly what the DCU Batman's going to look like. We don't know that yet.
Yeah,
it's kind of early days still, but they just wanted to put a quick shot of him in there just to let you know he is in this universe. I will say though, after seeing this new image and the Creature Commandos, though, I've changed my mind personally, and I want a brand new Batman in this new DCU universe. Full on fantastical, damn the realism. I want this image on the screen right now so bad I can taste it in the new DCU personally. There has been one casting rumor and an actor who says he'd love to play the role, who looks very much like he could fill the role of this Batman if they were to do it in the new DCU, and that is Alan Ritchson from Reacher, if you've ever seen that show. I think he's in some other stuff as well. I think he was in Fast 10, as a matter of fact, as well. But the dude is a tank. And he's been on record of saying he actually wants to do the role. So let's listen to him talk about that real quick.
I would love to play Batman. There, I said it, okay? I'll shout it from the rooftops. I want to be Bruce Wayne. Here's the thing about Batman. You know what his superpower is? Intelligence. Dude is the smartest superhero there is. Like, he's inventive and he's got all the gadgets and stuff, but he's super smart. I want to be that guy. and also to have like a cave with hypercars, sports cars, and also motorcycles. You saw the Ducati. I'm into that stuff. Oh, that's a good one. Ride a motorcycle cross country, race a sports car. I've done like the Tesla P100D 0 to.
All right, so he goes on a little bit talking about some of that interview, but yeah, I mean,
I could see it.
I like his enthusiasm more than anything.
Yeah, but also Batman didn't make his gadgets. Okay, he has a lot of them.
Well, yeah, there were certain iterations where Lucius Fox obviously made the gadgets, but I think there were some other iterations where Batman also made his own stuff too.
That's like Trump. He didn't make all his gadgets, but he knows the right people to get those gadgets from.
Exactly. But Batman is also very smart. But Batman, like what people forget, like Batman is a great detective.
That's what I was about to say.
Like
the Robert Pattinson version shows you that.
He is a great detective. He is good at and like think about a lot of the criminals and villains he has. That's what you need. You know, that's why he was so well with working with the police, and that's why it was so infuriating him working with the police, because he would already figure it out. But by the time they put the pieces together, that's why a villain like the Riddler is such a head scratcher, but eventually Batman will figure it out.
I will say, though, there is a scene in the Batman, Matt, that kind of, I can't unsee it now, unfortunately, where it makes his detective skills not look that great. There's a scene in the movie where I guess he's looking for clues of a woman who was murdered. And there's actually a photograph of this woman. And if you were a great detective, you look at that photograph and the location, see where the photograph was being photographed from, probably look up and see, oh, it's probably being shot from that apartment window up there, which at the end of the movie, you find out is where the Riddler was the entire time. But he was not a great enough detective to just figure that out. So it's kind of like a little bit of a plot hole there, Matt Reeves. But at the same time, for the most part, the movie's pretty good. But there was, I heard that and I was like, oh man, that just kind of takes
I mean, he literally, he is a very, and in the Arkham games, display that fucking phenomenally. But yeah, also Stone Cold Killer. Even though he hasn't killed anybody, but he is a killer. Literally, he was trained by assassins.
I just think that this guy Alan Richardson, what's that?
Not with guns.
Hold on. Technically, yeah, that happened. Flash Paradox. That Batman was capping people.
There's some iterations too. Flash
that
Paradox.
Batman didn't care.
Well, yeah, because it's a Flash Paradox. It wasn't like, but
and it wasn't Bruce. But it wasn't Bruce Wayne either. It was David. It was his dad.
Yeah,
Bruce and his mom were the ones that got killed, and not Bruce's parents.
Is his dad named David?
Yes, David Wayne.
I thought it was named something else. I don't think it was David.
Brandon, you're a nerd.
We all are. Maybe not Miranda, but yeah. And apparently, I know who Kal-El is, Matt.
I'm just married into it.
Well, we're going to convert you yet before this is all said and done.
Yeah.
But by the way, if we're going to convert Miranda, here you go. Calm down, ladies. This is Alan Richardson.
Once you go black, you never go back.
That's crazy work.
Oh
man.
Jeez.
Well, I don't know how to transition out of that. Man.
You're right. It was Thomas, not David. I don't know where I pulled David from.
Thomas Wayne. Thank you.
Thomas
Wayne.
I
knew that. Yeah, I don't know where you got David.
I don't know where I got David from.
Minus one nerd point.
Yeah.
David Wayne is Bruce Wayne's crazy uncle.
Yeah, my father name is David. That's crazy business.
I don't know.
David Wayne, part of his trauma.
That's his brother.
I'll let nerd across the internet was yelling at you.
Yeah, it was. Damn, that hurt my soul. That's on
David
me.
Wayne.
That's on me, big dog. I fucked up. That's on me.
I'll let Mike transition outside of that. He said, hypothetical question: who wins, Batman or Iron Man?
Iron Man.
Depends on who has the time. It depends on if you give Batman time. Let's be honest.
Yeah, with prep time,
if Batman has time to prepare,
because Iron Man's more of a fly
well,
by the seat.
Anybody could win a fight if you had time to plan it.
Hold on, that's also very true. So if you throw them in a situation where they meet, don't know, and they go to scrapping, I still feel like Batman has ways to negate that suit that Iron Man is wearing, but I also feel like Iron Man would have countermeasures for that in particular, because you got to think about the villains that Iron Man would deal with over the ones that Batman would.
I heard that.
Literally, one of them controls metal, and I would assume that he has a way to counteract that too. So the difference is in hand-to-hand combat, Batman smokes him. Period. There's no question. And I know Cap also, he used to spar with Iron Man, whatever the case may be. And Iron Man can hold his own, but at the same time, and if this came to fisticuffs, Batman all day. But if you left to technology,
Iron Man.
there's no way Iron Man loses technology-wise to Batman. So it comes down to
that part of it's more of a toss-up for me. But
that situation. Like the suit's still the suit, no matter what. Now, do you turn it into 1,000 pounds of wasted metal where he can't move? Then it becomes a one-on-one fight. Then Batman. But if Tony's able to counteract that and they still go blow for blow, there's no way Superman or Batman wins that fight.
Mike was definitely stirring the pot with that question, no doubt about it. For sure. And he knows it too.
And you thought that was going to segue out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not gonna lie though, I'm gonna be a bit disappointed if they do have a new Batman that's not Robert Pattinson and Alan Richardson is not the guy they cast. I just have a hard time not seeing it now.
That's
I really do.
But
Interesting to note in the comments that James Gunn also made about why they made certain decisions in the Batman's look in Creature Commandos, he also said it'll be fun for audiences to get to see our new Batman in the DCU, whether it be on his own universe or in his own movies and stuff like that. Teaming up with Batman, being together and all that sort of stuff. So I think he might have actually dropped a hint that we could be getting a potential world's finest film coming up with Batman and Superman teaming up together in the years to come. If that's the case, it's going to be absolutely great and no doubt would be 1,000 times better, in my opinion, than Batman versus Superman. Yeah. It's a little crazy.
Why they got Batman doing that? Why is it?
Why is his legs so high?
Like, what we doing? What we doing?
Girl in the chick flick that had her first kiss.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yo,
when I first saw this image, for those of you who used to watch Saturday Night Live back in the day, I thought the ambiguously gay duo. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, but anyway,
why they got Batman cheeked up like that too? What are we doing?
Yes, you know what I'm saying?
What are we doing?
I don't know,
man.
But either way, I'll be ecstatic if they announced a world finest.
That's crazy. Why they do that?
Let's get away from that image because it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
please. That's why they do Batman like that.
My apologies. But let's move on to another topic from DC. And this week we also had another big casting announcement for the DC universe, and that is, of course, Aquaman is Jason Momoa no more. Jason Momoa obviously played Aquaman, famously in Batman vs Superman, Justice League, the Aquaman movie, a cameo role in Peacemaker, The Flash, and Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. But it is officially over for his version of the character who can talk to fish. However, it is not all over for Jason Momoa in the DC multiverse, as this week he has now officially been cast as Lobo in the DCU and will be appearing in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which begins shooting this month for a 2026 release date. About 2 years ago, Jason Momoa visited the new DC studios and went absolutely nuts on social media with some news he could not reveal at the time. This is that video.
Was it 4 years ago? I had the Jeep out front? No, I want you. I was 4 years ago. I was screaming, wasn't I? Yeah. Screaming when I left Warner Brothers. Right? Everyone's in the video.
Calm down.
4 years again. It's a mystery, baby. We got, I got some really good news. Great news with Warner Brothers. Amazing. Wish I could tell you, but here it is. Peter, I love you. James, I love you. David. Okay. Mwah. To the future.
So it sounds like he has known about this casting for quite a while here, for a very long time. He recently announced it online via social media, citing an old quote of his where he said, "So Lobo was, I collect comics and I don't do so much anymore, but he was always my favorite. And I always wanted to play Lobo because I'm like, hello, it's the perfect role. I mean, listen, if they call and ask me to play him, it's a fuck yeah. I haven't received that call, so I don't want to put any fake news out there. But if they ever call me and ask me to play and ask me to audition, I'm there." Then at the very bottom, he recently replied, "They called." So it is official. Now he will be playing Lobo in the upcoming DCU. But there's a lot of people out there, and possibly even some people who are on this, particular podcast, maybe asking, who is Lobo? He's essentially, now Brandon can maybe add a little bit of 2 cents to this as well, but he's essentially a mercenary / bounty hunter with a big mouth, a la Deadpool, who smokes cigars and rides a school space motorcycle. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's what he is. And
that's pretty much it.
He has an issue with dying as well.
Well, who doesn't?
I mean, he's like the space version, I guess, but a more violent and crazy, but in the same way of crazy. Like, he knows he's fucking insane. Unlike Deadpool, who knows but he doesn't know, and then gets worse. Lobo was fully aware. And he's very fucking sadistic. There's a comic where it's him and he destroys the Justice League, and it's brutal. It's fucking brutal. So Lobo, perfect character to bring into the DC. Dude, yeah.
I mean, some actors are just born to play certain characters.
That's the thing. I've noticed this too with a couple, like, you know, Johnny Storm and what's his fucking name? Jesus Christ, Chris Evans when he played
Captain
Johnny
America.
Storm.
Captain America was more.
But when he played Johnny Storm, it was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, whatever, yeah, doesn't really.
Or like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. That's more perfect casting.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Deadpool. You know. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool because he damn sure didn't work as Green Lantern. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Like, I got into this conversation with somebody at work too, who asked. They were like, "Oh, I thought he was cool." Here's the thing: he plays Deadpool as Hal Jordan, and it does not work. There's a difference from cocky, which Hal Jordan is, and then there's a difference in self-awareness and just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, which is Wade Wilson. Like, Wade's an asshole because he has so much that he's holding back with. He's hiding. So Deadpool is who Deadpool is because of that. Wade never takes anything fucking serious. And that's played out through all the Deadpool movies. He doesn't take shit serious. Now it's even worse because he's fucking insane. But that works. It doesn't work when he tried to play Hal Jordan as a cocky, because it just didn't. Ryan Reynolds comes off as a smarmy asshole and you want to punch him in the face.
Yes.
But hilarious at the same time.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what it's like when he plays characters in a movie. When he plays any role in a movie, he comes off, and it's just his acting nature. But I think
some people have a certain shtick, and that's just who he is.
That's why it lends to what it lends to with Deadpool, because Deadpool is literally written like that.
That's why I think Jason Momoa is perfect as Lobo, because Jason Momoa playing Aquaman was not really Aquaman. It was more Jason Momoa. Yeah, Jason Momoa playing Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa playing Lobo. That is Lobo.
I guess the best depiction of and what people like Jason Momoa in recently was the Fast movie, right? The bad guy he played there.
Kind of playing more of a Joker role, kind of in that one, but
but it's kind of
still kind of him though. Yeah,
with Lobo, why it would work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
not only does he act like Lobo, but he looks exactly like him.
It's just crazy work.
So, I mean, and you're telling me that he's going to debut in the DCU in Millie Alcock's Supergirl film in the new universe? She'll be fighting Lobo, having a big fight with this badass. I mean, literally, just literally, take my money. I mean,
that's crazy work. That's good. I like that.
The DCU is cooking right now on a lot of levels.
And I hope they do.
Hold on,
they're starting to. Yeah.
No, that's from Futurama. So
just
letting I know that. Okay.
Great detective work there, man.
Nobody thought that was
I'm just making sure we don't get
Oh yeah, we're not confused for sure. But yeah, so excited about these DC announcements?
Yes.
Or at least looks
yeah. I haven't seen any of Creature Commandos yet. And I probably should.
It's solid. It's got another episode before it wraps up this season, but it's already got renewed for a second season. So
that's good.
Yeah, go play.
But yeah,
I wonder if Jason Momoa is, trying to get rid of the Amber Heard stain as Aquaman as well.
Maybe.
Just trying to get away from all that.
His character is going to be
a lot
crazy.
of it is, he wasn't. I mean, they're going to recast Aquaman like they're going to recast about every member of the old Justice League movie at this point. And I think that's the right way to go about it. To kind of just got to distance yourself from that failing DC EU version of the DC franchise. But So yeah, I think this is a smart move, and I think it'll play pretty well with the new Supergirl movie. Because again, if he's a space bounty hunter and she's stuck on an asteroid or a broken piece of Krypton, I mean, it makes sense that they would kind of come into contact with one another. So it makes sense for the story too. Yeah.
Good. Okay. I'm gonna get a drink.
Is she okay in that picture?
Who?
Who's she?
No,
Supergirl.
she got the shit beat
But
out
yeah,
of her.
again, I don't know a ton about the Woman of Tomorrow storyline, so sorry, chat, if you know. But I think that again, she's kind of been living on this broken piece of Krypton. She didn't make it either all the way to Earth like Superman did, so it's a bit of a different take on the Supergirl character. So I'm interested to see it and learn more about the actual comic line. It's one of the best Supergirl comics out there, from what I've understood. And they're going to adapt it to film and make it a big budget blockbuster. So looking forward to seeing what they do with that. And like I said, it starts filming this month, so definitely looking forward to more of that.
Hopefully, they don't make Supergirl some feminazi.
Yeah, let's hope not. I think DC so far has not really done a whole lot in the way of, maybe doing some political nonsense in there. So I think they're trying to, again, with a new studio head and stuff like that, they're trying to get off on the right foot. So they're trying to not fall into that trap, I think. So we'll see how it goes. But
real quick,
yeah,
the comparisons, I guess, with this whole Lobo and I mean, the man is able to stand toe to toe with Superman, blow for blow, which is crazy, and it has an accelerated healing factor. Yeah,
this is good. And Superman and Lobo is going to fight. David Gordon Sweat and Jason Momoa are going to be fighting on film as well at some point.
Oh.
It's going to probably happen. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely great. But real quick before we move on to the Marvel portion of this, though, we got 32 people watching on the stream. Please hit the like, hit subscribe, do all the comments and all that good jazz.
Yeah.
So on the show. Thank you for watching. But what was you gonna say, Aaron?
So is Lobo a bad guy or is he an anti-hero?
Both.
Like I said, mercenary.
Lobo,
so it kind of
he's a bounty hunter. So like he takes contracts, and like I said, he's very oriented in that. One of his literal taglines is that he takes contracts and sees them through no matter what. Like if he takes a contract, no matter what, he's going to see it till the end.
So he's the Mandalorian.
Essentially, yes. It literally says his only one rule. Once he takes a contract, he finishes it no matter what, even if that means risking injury. So he doesn't. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, well, let's move on to the Marvel quick news roundup. I got a couple news stories here that I want to go over, but not really spend too much time on. But this week it was pretty much confirmed that Daredevil will reportedly be in Avengers Doomsday, potentially only a minor role in this movie. But the news interestingly dropped about 2 months before the first season of Daredevil Born Again is set to drop on Disney+. We should be getting a trailer for that series sometime this month in January leading up to that release. But all this news pretty much came from a social media post confirming he's actually training for the role, as they said that he will be have a role in the upcoming Marvel Avengers movie where he will play Daredevil. So he's getting in shape for that movie, which will be filming early in 2025, coming up here in the next few months. Thoughts on Daredevil potentially being kind of getting a little bit more of an expanded role in the MCU, making his way into the movies. Yeah,
about time.
I don't know what he could do up against Dr. Doom.
You'll see.
But we'll see.
Some of these characters that dude, I can't wait because they tie in to so much and so many other characters.
Spider-Man could really tie into
Spider-Man,
a lot.
Daredevil, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Spider-Man, the Avengers. There's so much more than the Avengers, and I'm glad we got the Avengers first. Because they're the big super names, popular, but literally Spider-Man, the way you can maneuver and add Daredevil there, which also brings in Miles Morales, because they're all close. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
all in New York.
You bring in the fucking Fantastic Four, which allows you at this point to now start to bring in mutants. You've already started to do so with some of the Deadpool movies. But this literally opens the door for the mutants. So they man.
The chess pieces are set, as it were, heading into the next few years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for sure. Not to mention, in Daredevil Born Again, we know for a fact Punisher is making his appearance. So we're getting him.
Not just that. villains like Fisk. I can't wait for Fisk to be a real forefront villain for fucking Spider-Man.
Now,
Oh my lord!
now
But
for those,
also ties in Daredevil.
now question for Brandon, and of course, obviously, some in the chat or who may be watching may know this already. Did you ever watch the Daredevil Netflix series?
Yes, not all of it, but I watched a fair
Now,
few episodes.
Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and the Defenders, which was where they teamed up in the street level together. Those are all now been retroactively considered canon to the MCU. So they did happen in the New York City following the first Avengers film between it and Endgame. So you can just kind of watch it whenever you want to, things like that. But with the Punisher, John Bernthal's version of the Punisher from the Daredevil series on Netflix, also returning in Daredevil Born Again, we're probably going to be getting. It's kind of like a season 4 of Daredevil, but Daredevil Born Again is also kind of act like, an introduction probably to all the people who did not watch the old Netflix stuff. So they're going to probably end up bringing in Punisher, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, maybe Luke Cage and stuff coming down the line too. So
here's my
we're
only
gonna get
thing with
more of
Iron
that.
Fist.
Iron Fist and Shang-Chi together could be outstanding.
But the thing is, I don't know why Iron Fist didn't work. I
And
don't know whether it was the actor.
they'll have to write it better.
No,
Maybe recast. I don't know.
Yeah, but Shang-Chi. Oh my god,
Shang-Chi and Iron Fist, when done properly together, would be a hell of a team up,
brother.
And if they do Iron Fist and Luke Cage again, just do a Heroes for Hire show. Or
And it was dope to see Luke Cage. Luke Cage. Like, man.
Yeah, I like Mike Coulter in the role. I really did. And Jessica Jones was very underrated in my opinion too.
Yeah, Jessica Jones' villain, the Purple Man. I fucking.
That was a great season. The other 2 seasons really didn't live up to the hype for me, but that first season was outstanding in my opinion. So
but that's the
we're
same
going to be
way I
getting
thought
more of
about
these.
the Daredevil. I think Fisk made that like when he the door scene, crazy one.
Yeah, and the same actor, Vincent
D'Onofrio. He crushed it.
He's coming back as Kingpin, and it's set up at the end. He was in Hawkeye, the season of Hawkeye, and he was in the season of Echo, which spun off from Hawkeye, and now he's going to be in Daredevil Born Again. There's a storyline there where Fisk is going to become the mayor of New York, most likely. So we're going to get.
But that
it's
also
gonna be great.
you could or Spider-Man rolls right into like.
There was rumors at one point Spider-Man 4 was going to be a Daredevil Spider-Man team up against Fisk. Now I don't know if that's still the plan. There's been a lot of different, rumors and stuff about where that story is going. It could be multiversal. Could have to deal with Null and the king of the Venom symbiotes. Could have Venom in it, or could have Toby and Andrew. We don't know what all Spider-Man 4 is going to have right now, but a lot of people want to see a more grounded Spider-Man 4, kind of where No Way Home left off with Spider-Man on his own, and then maybe you could get the Daredevil team up against Fisk, which I think.
And I feel like people don't realize the implications with that whole Spider-Man thing. Him, where nobody remembers him,
who he is,
like that.
A lot of rumors of Black Cat potentially being in the sequel too.
This
a new love interest.
This opens the door legitimately for all of the MCU to just walk right in and feel right at home, simply because nobody knows who the fuck Spider-Man is here. You know what I mean?
Do you see the potential that the MCU has now leading into the next few Avengers films and the reboot with the X-Men and stuff? They're starting to cook too.
He slides right in. You can put Fisk in there. You can introduce all new villains. This is a city where it's unfamiliar to everybody else, but him, and like he
knows like the back of it. He grew up there. He's lived there all his life. As a blind man in Hell's Kitchen, you've had to learn your way around and the ins and outs. And yeah, it's Daredevil's one of my favorite characters. Can't wait. And nothing against Ben Affleck, but I think Charlie Cox has been a stellar.
He's crushed. And I think because of the way it was done, I love the whole gritty, darker version of hero movies, is because it's not all this. They're not Superman. They're not
all sunshines and rainbows. Superman is, but not everybody. And Superman's not Batman either. But
but they don't have these godly powers. These are, for lack of intensive purposes, these were humans with like this weird way of getting powers. But they're not.
Got a heightened sense of hearing and echolocation. But he's a human though. He's not.
He can still die quickly and easily.
He gets injured a lot because he's blind. So yeah, there's I like
Spider-Man. Totally. For all the ability he has, legitimately, he dies. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
I agree. One other piece of Marvel news, and we'll move on to something different here. We got our first look at the villain, the Leader, in promo artwork that was released for the upcoming Captain America: Brave New World, complete with green skin and extended cranium. Obviously, for those of you who don't remember, the last time we saw this character was in the 2008 film, The Incredible Hulk. That was one of the first few films in the MCU right after the first Iron Man film, which is obviously going to tie in with some of the Hulk storylines coming into the new Captain America movie here. Here's a picture of the same actor, Samuel Stearns, who will be returning to reprise his role as the leader after this was during his origin in that film when Hulk's blood landed on his head, causing his forehead to expand and giving him extreme intelligence in the comics, I believe, right, Brandon? So he's going to be a bit of a mastermind. So this is what he looked like in the comics. So obviously you can't go too crazy with this with the expanded dome, but they're doing their best here with the little bit of the extension here with the artwork. As you can tell, he's got that big old forehead. He apparently it's nice to see that he inherited Peyton Manning's forehead. So
crazy work.
Keeping comic book accuracy there, and I think that's great to see. I guess 20 years of removing tight football helmets will do that to you. But
that's crazy work. Why you do that? Why you do that, man, like that? That's
because he left us for Denver. That's why.
He stressed out his whole face taking that helmet off. That's crazy.
It's either that or it's all of his football knowledge that he gained and it just expanded his.
God, it looks like he just stretched. That's crazy.
No offense, Peyton, love you. Thank you for the world championship, no doubt about it.
Why y'all doing like that? That's
so yeah.
The
I mean,
space between his eyebrows and his hairline is absurd.
So you can kind of see here a little bit of a connection between the old original Incredible Hulk film and obviously the Red Hulk. He's going to be doing experimentations, probably wanting to be like the Hulk. I think I have a theory that it's going to be Thunderbolt Ross maybe having serious illness and may not survive if he doesn't experiment on himself as well. It could be something like that. And of course, Captain America's going to have to learn how to deal with this and potentially maybe take the super soldier serum himself, like Steve Rogers did. Maybe Sam Wilson's going to have to do the same thing. That's just my theory. We don't know quite yet. But I can see this definitely leading into, again, there's a big rumor going around right now of a World War Hulk film potentially happening where all these different Hulk characters, She-Hulk, Hulk, Scar, his son that was on Stakar, could all potentially end up in the one movie together coming down the line here too, bringing back the Rageful Hulk and not the Professor Hulk that Mark Ruffalo's been playing.
Listen, we're not going to get World Breaker Hulk, so it doesn't matter. Okay.
I mean, never say never, but there's a lot of different ways you can go about this for sure. But I would definitely looking forward to that. Well, I guess we'll find out a little bit more what's going to happen there when Captain America: Brave New World opens in theaters on Valentine's Day this year. So looking forward to that. What do you guys think of the crazy forehead artwork? I mean, it's a little out there, but it's not too crazy, but just enough to kind of give you that comic accuracy, I think. But
Peyton Manning levels is absurd, brother.
Sorry, I had to take a shot there, Peyton, for sure. No,
I
love Peyton.
Yeah, definitely shots fired.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think Peyton left Denver so much as Indy moved on from Peyton, which is why Peyton left for Denver. So
that's exactly what happened, but I'm not even about to even get into that.
I kind of wish Peyton would be a little more involved in Indy still. I know
why would he? Why
he
would
probably feels jaded. I totally understand. They gave him a statue and all this stuff, but at the same time, I understand it too.
Peyton does it for the fans, sure, but not for say. Let's get that's no. Yeah. Peyton loves the Indianapolis Colts fans, but no, they did that man dirty.
All right, one more news in the world of movies, and we'll move on. I did want to go over this trailer for the upcoming Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated series coming to Disney Plus. So I thought we'd watch that real quick and get our thoughts on that. So let's react to this trailer for the new series.
You're gonna be late.
Sorry, man, I'm okay.
Hey. Oh. Petey's always been a bit clumsy.
You know me, clumsy, Petey, Parker. Help! Mr. Campbell, I remembered I left something in the bathroom. Deuces. Parker out.
Superpower size kid, know you want a neighbor like me. Look out!
Somebody help me! He's running, grab him! Gotcha! I thought it was dead meat.
Check out our next victim in his dumbass costume.
Is my suit really that bad? Ouch!
Oh!
Watch out for that ladder! Just consider it a good deed from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's me, by the way. I'm Spider-Man.
There we go again. Swinging through the city so fast you could barely notice him.
I truly believe that I have these powers to help people, to protect them.
Need my city, you need me. Taking off the mask, I know what you see. Know you want a neighbor like me. Just a young man cleaning up the streets. Ain't nothing changed,
Matrix
this is the real me.
So, you're Spider-Man. With my help, you'll achieve greatness.
Oh man, this suit's incredible. If you ever need another butt kicking, just look for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Know you want a neighbor
And no, you may not be excused from said test. Ah, nice of you to join us, Mr. Parker. After class.
All right. So initial thoughts.
Was that the Future Foundation too?
I think so, maybe. Now, before we get too far into this, I do need to note here that this is an Elseworld story. This is not in the MCU canon.
Okay.
It was originally designed
Thank God.
It was originally designed to be like, Tom Holland's Spider-Man prior to his involvement in Civil War, where he met Tony Stark, kind of his early years. But due to some backlash and the fact that it isn't canon to the MCU, this show will likely not perform too well. But they changed it up a little bit because they said they didn't want to be hindered creatively and things like that. But this show is getting a little bit of a backlash. Can you tell why? Just off the top of your head?
Really?
This is Norman Osborn. It's another one of those deals where Disney has race swapped a character from white to African American.
They did the same thing with fucking Nick Fury. It doesn't matter.
I know they did.
Like,
I know. And they did the same thing with Harry Osborn, which is who that character is.
Hell, Tom Holland's friend is a chubby Chinese dude, and that's not originally who it was. So,
well, again, I don't think the backlash is so much because of anything race related. It's because people see Harry and Norman, and they think that you're changing their character, which is the same old problem that we have in all sorts of TV and movies nowadays. So whether you agree with the backlash or not, that's kind of the way things are going with this right now. So it's leading to a lot of people to go, well, not going to watch it because it's not MCU canon anyway, and they're doing all this agenda stuff. So, but on the whole, though, I think the trailer actually looks pretty solid. I like the animation style; looked like a comic book. Kind of remind me a little bit of Into the Spider-Verse, a little bit. Not the 3D animation, but
no, it's like
comic
the comic
frames and
book
stuff.
style. I kind of like the animation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that. So I'm just putting out there. You can think what you want about it, but
it's a pre-suit too, and where he was using a whole gadget system to make the webs.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
which
at least in the MCU he made himself, but again,
he made
canon.
like web cartridges and all that other shit too.
So this is kind of one of those deals. Again, we're in the multiverse saga. You look at this as a separate universe where Spider-Man was doing something different, and Norman Osborn was his mentor. So if you don't like the whole race swapping thing, I guess you just don't have to watch it. It's one of those things, the way I kind of look at it. But
yeah, I don't think this has anything to do with anything. It's another world, another time, another. Hell, if we're supposed to accept the fact that fucking Iron Man is about to be, you know what? Never mind. I'm not even about to.
But I also agree with Brandon too. Like when Nick Fury was Sam Jackson, nobody had a problem.
Yeah, it was Hasselhoff at first.
And don't be wrong, I'm the first one. If you've watched this here on the channel at all, I'm the first one to say I don't like it when you're changing characters for the sake of just changing them for an agenda. I don't like that stuff. But at the same time, there's other times it's happened when no one's had issues.
Because it didn't matter, because the character didn't change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing to me. Like, if the character doesn't change, it's, more of the case. But I guess, I don't know. It just seems like there's certain situations it becomes offensive, and sometimes the others it's not. I don't know why.
I mean, in the case for this one, because we've already opened the door to the Spideyverse already. I mean, this isn't too crazy.
No.
And I can kind of get behind it because they're just telling a different Spider-Man story. They're not trying to replace any of the stories.
No. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So in that regard, just look at it as another multiverse from the Spider-Verse franchise. Just exactly like that. So either way,
with a black Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
I am interested to see if Norman Osborn turns into the Green Goblin.
Yeah, and it'll be different to see Norman as his mentor. That's for certain. I don't think we've had an iteration of that really.
Oh, he was kind of like that in the other in the
McGuire.
Yeah, movie.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess, until
you kind of seen him as like a father figure and shit.
Yeah.
So it's not it's not out of place there.
Which that would be interesting. I might give it a try. Oh, we'll see.
It might be good. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It's supposed to have a pretty long episode run. So I don't know about 3 future seasons or anything, but check it out January 29th, and maybe it'll do well and they'll end up greenlighting it for the future. We'll have to wait and see. So moving on a little bit, so let's get into a topic that Miranda wanted to bring up. So it's a little bit random, so we'll get into that next time.
The fact that you have a transition for random
random stuff.
Right.
Yeah, well, just to kind of separate the segments here, okay? But I'm trying to think ahead for anything that could possibly come up. So, Miranda, the floor is yours. Go ahead and tell us about this.
So, yesterday we were in town shopping, and I noticed that at Fresh Time they had this gum that Aaron had asked us about the other day, and it's neuro gum, right, Brandon?
Yes, that's what it's called.
Okay. So I went ahead and picked some up. And Aaron, did you find a video?
No, unfortunately, I couldn't find it in my history to send it to you again. So.
Okay, but do you remember what you were intrigued about it?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of videos about it pop up on my feed. I don't know who the guy's name. I want to say he's a wrestler, or not a wrestler, or something.
A boxer,
but
or something?
Not Pat McAfee. No, he's a talk show host. Yeah, Joe Rogan did it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about it a little bit, and then there was another guy who was talking about it. Anyways, and they just talked about how it improved their mental quality of life. It was just their experience with it, and I just didn't know if anybody looked into it. So,
well, I was surprised to see it, so I went ahead and picked it up, and some of you tried it today, I think.
Yeah. So I
Brandon
fucked
gave me
up.
a piece of work.
Okay, here's the thing.
I gave him instructions.
She did, and
from now on, just ask Miranda what he should have done before you do
it. But Eric had chewed some earlier today.
I gave it a whirl.
And specifically the one right there, the energy and focus one.
Well, no, they're all energy and focus.
Oh, they all are?
I think.
It was just in an orange packaging.
Yeah, it was just cinnamon.
Okay.
Yeah, cinnamon flavored. Yeah.
But that's what it's supposed to promote, energy and focus. And again, I guess it was the wrong time simply because work is work. You kind of turn your brain off depending on what you're doing, no matter what. So it becomes monotonous and boring. So it was the wrong setting for me to even do this in, but I did it. Whatever. Okay. It happened.
Give me a piece when we play video game streams.
Yeah, we were gonna do it at the beginning of the show,
and then see what it was like.
See if it helped.
It definitely hasn't helped us stay on track for sure. Maybe it
would.
But
did you? I guess. Did you notice anything? Honestly,
the one thing I did notice, I felt like the flavor lasted a long time, a lot longer than most gums. How eventually you start chewing a gum, it's just it becomes bland. I thought it lasted a good an hour and a half.
I know.
I really lost. That's just me. But when it comes to energy and mental clarity or something like that, wasn't really paying too much attention.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just
so it's gum that makes you focus.
Supposedly.
Yeah, man.
Supposedly, yeah.
And Brandon didn't give you.
And I was supposed to give you some. I mean, look, there was a lot going on. Okay?
You had a bunch of those. How many of those did you give out?
There's a lot going on. Brandon,
I only gave you one, Aaron one. I had one. But I didn't even eat mine. It was in my pocket. I got side. Man, look, there was a lot. Okay, there was a lot going on today, and I didn't focus. All right, that's on me.
All right, so we have more. We'll all try it and give you our review next week.
All right. Well, maybe we'll just eat one here on the podcast, and we'll just do it that way. Maybe it'll help us have a far better show. I don't know. Not that we're having a bad one now, but
we can at least
also
focus.
We have another thing, and Miranda brought this to my attention too. Now, everybody has New Year's resolutions. Everybody makes a resolution and you never stick to it because whatever. But Eric, you remember a while back when I decided I wanted to lose some weight. And so me, you, and a couple people decided that we would do this and we would all keep track. And then at the end of 3 months is what we gave ourselves. And then we would go in to see who did what. So along the same lines of that concept, she had asked to do something like that again, where we pick something that we want to improve in, to be better at, and to do better at. And then we do a checkup on how that's going.
It doesn't all have to be the same thing.
No,
just
it could all be very different
pick
things.
a goal.
Just they're accountable is kind of what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Today I read a story about a guy and his wife trying the carnivore diet. He had MS really bad.
Oh.
He's 50 years old. They
sad.
never had kids, or she was pretty sick too. Well, turns out they both did this carnivore diet, and he doesn't have the symptoms of MS anymore. She was unable to have babies, but he's about to be a first-time dad at 50 years old.
That's crazy work.
That's awesome.
Just by changing their diet. And this morning when I was going into work, I had the radio on, and it was a local station, and it wasn't an ad, but it was a radio host said the new study showed that people who diet regularly are more depressed. And I'm like, what the? You're telling people that if you eat a healthy diet, you're going to feel worse?
Yes.
They want you to eat the crap again.
Yeah, they want you to keep eating that crap. It's just like this Ozempic crap. Go ahead, take this shot and still eat our junk food.
Yeah,
it's not helping you. So if you are disciplined and you don't eat all this crap anyway, you're not going to look at it as a diet. You're just going to look at it as a lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are responsible for our bodies. That's it. Like I can't force you to do anything. I can't tell you. You just have to feel the difference. If you're eating better, giving your body the right stuff, it's going to pay off in the long run.
Yes.
And
our health is
about the only thing we have.
Yeah. I know when I was, it was about 20 years ago now, but I lost 100 pounds at one point. I was eating better, a lot of, fruits and like definitely, salad, leafy, that sort of stuff. And, and then I was obviously working out, 4 to 5 times a week. I felt a lot better. Now, don't get me wrong. On the weekends, I had a pizza or I'd have a hamburger or, something to kind of reward you for the good week that you had. So you don't get completely burnt out. I can see kind of like being depressed and unhappy because if all you do is eat salads, you're eventually going to be like, gosh, dang it, I want a cheeseburger.
Well, a lot of people, they do that yo-yo dieting. They'll try a diet for a few weeks. It'll start to work and then they'll fall off of it. And sure, you get depressed because you lose a little bit and then you gain it back. You lose it.
Through one sitting, you'll gain half of the calories that you burned back because you decided.
It's crazy though. When we were going to the gym more often, especially when I was running on the treadmill, and you'd see the calories and how long it takes to burn off the calories, and then you realize an hour on a treadmill is basically like a cookie, and that's it. You're going, that cookie ain't worth it no more. A lot of times, you just like, I ain't gonna touch it.
Yeah.
But
I know what's going to take to work it off.
Cookie is always worth it.
But when
there's also some other things that you can do, like heavy metal detoxes. If you're on TikTok at all, you're gonna see a heavy metal detox. Everybody should do that, and everybody should do a parasite cleanse because as gross as it is, I guarantee you might have some parasites.
I'd be surprised, especially the stuff they're putting in our foods nowadays.
Yeah, like
come on, RFK, get my food better, buddy.
But so
part of me really doesn't want me to know if I have parasites.
Well, Matt, you won't know until you parasites.
Exercise.
Okay, so we're gonna go through down a rabbit hole real quick. Ivermectin is anti-parasitic. There are countless stories on X about how ivermectin and fenbendazole are curing cancer, because
Yeah.
cancer is a parasite.
Yes, it is.
No matter how you look at it, it is a foreign entity
Parasite.
entering your body. It's a parasite. So farmers used to give themselves injections of their cow shit, not cow shit, cow ivermectin back in the day. It's not it's not what the left says it was or is.
Or dewormer, stuff you should.
I mean,
Rogan,
it
how
is,
dare you? Yeah,
but it's
but
a good thing.
yeah, but it can be used for other things than just
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
But
I agree.
to say all that to say this, so I would also like to, there's a few things that I want to do this year, and like changing what you put in your body is very important. It's something that I've lived through with losing my mother and all that shit. Like there are countless things where you're like, well, if I'd have did this would have changed. So having kids of my own really forces me to look down this barrel and go, okay, I got to change a lot of things because I want to be here for the long haul. Yeah. So I'm going to focus on doing that, but also too, and yeah, Eric, I make fun of you and I give you shit for it, but brother, the fact that you cook your own meals instead of eating lunch or what's present, you know what I mean? Like
not always.
No, hold on, I get that, but the majority, that's what you do. This also, promotes that. You'll start to do that more often than not.
Yeah.
To where you just
I eat at home all the time
instead of eating out.
Shoot, I'm doing it more now just because I can't afford to eat out as much as
that's also a good.
No.
You know what I mean?
In a way, should I thank our current administration for that?
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to make us healthier by making it.
Yeah, he's starving us.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
But
yeah, he's doing a great job.
We're gonna get into politics in a little while. Let's not go too nuts.
But it's also too like once you open that door to you making food and doing things, you're gonna try new things. Like I told you the other day when I made on a whim shit, like we had some chicken thighs out there. We got tired of eating chicken and potatoes, so she was like, I just want something different. And I was like, you know what? I haven't had rice in a while. Literally looked up this Mediterranean chicken dish and decided, fuck it, let's go for it. So I spent my time mixing and throwing ingredients of this, and this. It opens up a very adventurous side of cooking that that's a rabbit hole I'll dive down.
Which you enjoy doing anyway.
Yes, but this also it could help you in that fact of like, dude, when I tell you this, I never made chicken curry before in my life, ever. Never even thought about it. I made chicken curry one night because I seen the recipe and I wanted something different. Everybody wanted something different. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, fuck it. Let's see what happens. I did it. Turned out fucking fire, by the way. Okay. Fucking delicious. Right. And it's all because of I'm trying to better myself in a lot of other ways. So this is my avenue. This is my opportunity. And I think if we decide to pick something and to focus on it and have somebody go, hey, how's this going? Well, I'm not at my goal yet, but I'm getting there. I think it's like for us, we communicate all the time, so it wouldn't be hard for us to check in on one another.
I mean, four of us see each other pretty much every day.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah.
I've started adding mushrooms and colostrum to my coffee.
How's that?
It's good. It's
You can keep the mushroom. I'm good.
Well, no, it's lion's mane mushroom. It's what your gum is, but in a mushroom.
Really?
And
it just doesn't sound good to me. Mushrooms in a coffee.
No, it's powdered.
That doesn't
you
mean
think about it as like a mushroom because you see a mushroom. This is like a powder that has no real odor or flavor.
It actually does have a little bit of a chocolatey flavor.
Oh, all right.
And and the bovine colostrum is just that. It's the mother's first milk and a powder. Brandon, you use it too. Don't look at me.
Yeah, I use it too. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very full of good stuff.
Yeah, colostrum, is what bodybuilders use. That's what they pay for breast milk because that's what they want. It has all the nutrients and shit that are good for you and help build muscle and shit. So,
sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for trying to keep each other accountable for whatever. Like I said, for me, it would always be I need to drop another 30 pounds or something like that. It's always been the case.
I'm on the
Which will
same
help my
mission as
knees,
you.
will help my back, help my feet, things
Well,
like
I
that.
think we should do short-term goals. And like I said, just doing a little bit of a change. Maybe it's you cut out this or you started exercising a little bit in the mornings or I've been trying to do some stretching. I'm not going to call it yoga yet, but every day.
It's like pre-yoga. So you're good.
Yeah, it's the pre-yoga.
Like pre-algebra. You got to work out the algebra.
Part of this is coming from people I follow on X that are trying to better themselves. And Alpha, he's doing cold plunges every day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not there yet.
Well, speaking of somebody who might need a little help, though, Mike in the chat says the way Matt has himself positioned and the movement of his eyes, he looks pretty drugged up. What the heck?
He looks sick.
He keeps looking up, which the reason why he keeps looking up because he's got a television up there, I believe.
Yeah. But he also looks like he feels like crap.
Matt looks like either he's not feeling well or he's just dead tired.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron, my buddy Aaron. I used to have a buddy named Aaron, and he made me sick.
He used to.
He used to have a buddy named Aaron. That's crazy.
Yeah. What? Was this some shade?
that wasn't shade. He just flat out called you out, brother.
Yeah. He was pretty direct in that.
That wasn't very subtle.
Nah, he said names. You know what I'm saying?
On air.
Yeah. Pretty sure he's talking about your ass.
No, it's a different Aaron.
No, see, Mike, what Matt tends to do during the podcast a lot of times, he'll play a game sometimes while he's also listening.
Yeah, I'm listening to what you guys are doing, but
he's just kind of he's multitasking a lot of times.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I will be honest and say that I was doing the exact same thing when you're on the wrestling topic.
Oh, I wondered.
Like,
well, yeah.
I have no input on the wrestling. I try to, but
And this is why we put wrestling at the beginning of the show because Aaron can't always join us at the beginning of the show.
But Aaron, I love Aaron to the fact
Well,
that
hold on.
he's willing
We
to
put
try.
politics at the end, and I have to fight my freaking
I know,
eyelids.
which is why I try to. Yeah, and the only reason we do that is because not everybody likes politics, and we don't want to run people off.
Well,
so it's
fuck
like
them all.
we need to do more just like straight politics shows or something.
This week, people need to listen to the politics.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to move on, but yeah, I agree. Let's maybe come up with something. We maybe keep each other coming. That'd be great. That'll be a lot of fun. But we'll move on. And we'll get to that politics before everybody starts to fall asleep on us. Brandon or Mike said, Brandon, you need to flip up shades like Dwayne Wade from the old show A Different World.
That's wild.
That's crazy business.
I mean,
right
there's
there.
a deep pull for you.
For real.
Anyway,
I love that show, by the way.
all right. Well, let's get into the sports related stuff. All right, well, let's get into some sports-related stuff. But before we get too deep into it, I wanted to say a quick shout-out to our buddy Bob. Congratulations on winning the fantasy and defeating Aaron down there in the bottom right in a very hotly contested championship game that the rookie Aaron ended up losing in the end. But kudos to you for getting to the championship game in your first season, brother. I'll give you all the credit. So,
yeah, whatever. I like you doing it.
I'm gonna remember to do next year is to not have my players versing each other. I think that was my downfall.
That would definitely help.
Yeah.
Yes, you should not listen to me.
Definitely don't listen to me because I didn't even make the playoffs. So, but speaking of playoffs, that being said, the college football playoffs are in full swing, and we now are down to the Final Four. Brandon a few weeks ago said he's pretty much done talking about college sports, but I think he's willing to talk about it now because his Ohio State Buckeyes have now made it to the Final Four, and they'll be facing the Texas Longhorns. Thoughts on that, Brandon?
Hold on a second,
brother. So turned the game on, and I want to say in the first quarter, we had already scored twice. And I was like, all right, let's calm down here.
One of these don't look like the other.
And then that game got out of hand quickly. By the second half, I was like, it's a wrap. You can shut it down. We ain't losing this shit. And then they let him score twice, and I was like, all right, fucking, let's not blow it here. And then we scored again, put it at 41, and I was like, all right, never mind. Because no matter what, there's not enough time for y'all to do anything. Y'all can score, y'all fine.
Yeah.
But I said it before. I said the way that we lost that first game to Oregon, I was still pissed off about. We shouldn't have lost. There's no reason why we should have lost that game to fucking Michigan. But whatever. Shit happens.
And you know who you don't see on this list? You don't see Michigan.
No,
so
obviously.
All that flag planting and celebrating.
Yeah, fair.
Still don't mean shit because at the end of the day, even if we win the national, we still lost to fucking Michigan. Figure it the fuck out. Or
figure it out. Mike said in the chat,
whatever.
Aaron, congrats on finishing second, and Brandon, congrats on beating Eric in the 9th place game. Even though that 9th place game literally meant absolutely nothing when it comes to the draft standings and the seeding for the picks next year. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It meant something to me.
I think Brandon still
Fucking
no.
lost.
I think I finished one spot behind Brandon. I don't know. It's something I have to look at it. But anyway, but yeah, kudos to Aaron for making a second.
I didn't make it to the fucking whatever. I lost.
We also got Notre Dame versus Penn State, and the other side of this Final Four here. Predictions on who will make the championship game and who will win it all. Brandon, you're excluded because you're going to say Ohio State.
Obviously.
So
Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I forget. There's another one from Ohio in here. So I'm going to go with the Indiana team. Give me Notre Dame, but we'll see.
I think Ohio and
like
Notre Dame.
That would be interesting for certain.
I've noticed that one of these are not like the other.
Don't say Notre Dame. That's just you troll.
No.
You can't say Penn State. You don't say Texas.
You don't say Texas?
No.
He's going to Ohio State. There's only one team left.
One of these is not like the other.
You ain't gonna break
Meaning
out the
what?
song, are you?
Meaning what?
Meaning, well, you know.
Is it a whole lot of this? Is it a whole lot of this?
Let me tell you something. If my quarterback was important, they would have room for him on the stage.
All right, man. Shut the fuck
And
up.
they really didn't.
That
So
security
that
guard
means
is
he really
crazy.
wasn't all that important.
All right. Listen. Quentin Ewers is overhyped. Let's get that out the way. Okay.
All right. I've got my dig in. You can have yours.
I get it that he's Texas's big dog or whatever, but at the same time, Quentin is overhyped. If Ohio State could come out and do what they did to Oregon, literally the best team at 13-0, and totally stop their offense from going anywhere, even though that game between was it Arizona and Texas?
Yeah. Back to agree with what Brandon's saying.
Was so close and had 2 overtimes. That defense stopped them.
Yeah.
Ohio's defense is way more stacked and way more built for that. Quentin Ewers is useless without that running game. If they don't get the running game going, if Ohio State's defense stops that offense from getting that, it's a wrap. Shut it down. Like, our offense right now is rolling so smooth. And I feel like, and I'm not saying this because I'm from Ohio, but I'm also saying this because I'm from Ohio. The best team in that Final Four right now is Ohio State.
It'd be hard to argue with
all
that,
around.
And if IU ended up losing to the eventual national champions, I'll feel a lot better about IU losing in that game. So if that's the case.
But there's my thoughts on that situation. Me and Nate had a chat, and I said, "Listen, no hard feelings. I'm not sitting here talking shit about the Notre Dame team because they won. They got to where they need to be." Penn State, Penn State is nasty work right now too.
Well, in IU's case, again, the only 2 losses they had were against Ohio State and Notre Dame, and both of them are in the Final Four. So, got to give credit where credit's due to Indiana University in that regard, for sure. Well, in regards to the pro side of things here in the NFL, Saquon Barkley has officially become only the 9th player in NFL history to reach the 2,000-yard rushing mark in a single season. He may break the single-season rushing record set by Eric Dickerson, which is 2,105 in 1984. However, Dickerson broke the record in less games, only 16 games, but Saquon could break it with less carries. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni, though, the last I checked anyway, hasn't stated whether Saquon would be given a chance to break it since the Eagles have secured their playoff positioning in Week 18. So whether or not he plays is another question right now. I don't think they've announced. If they have, I haven't seen it.
Don't sit.
My apologies. Now, however, Donald Trump apparently thinks that he should be MVP, though, for Saquon Barkley. President Trump said that the Eagles running back Saquon Barkley should be considered MVP in a meeting with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. Trump is quoted as saying, well aware of Saquon Barkley and why he should be MVP. So, President-elect thinks so. So, what do you guys think about Saquon Barkley being the league's MVP? I know that reward usually goes to quarterbacks, but can you name a more valuable player in the league for their particular team right now than Saquon
Not
Barkley?
right now. No. I mean, Saquon. What did you say?
Who? Lamar Jackson.
You can't say Lamar Jackson because because fucking Joe Burrow and Josh Allen exist, and not even that to mention Patrick Mahomes. But if you're asking right now, the better quarterback who's playing at an MVP level and status, the only one name you can say, and I don't give a fuck how you feel about Patrick Mahomes, it's fucking Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'd be up there. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes didn't even make the Pro Bowl this year, which I thought was crazy to think about.
Legit, but if you're gonna get, there's probably no other. Saquon Barkley is up there, and I feel like if he not only gets the record and beats the record, for sure it should be his.
What do you think about that debate where they said that Eric Dickerson won or got the record in 16 games? Saquon would have to do it in 17 games, but Saquon would be doing it with less carries from the sounds of things. So there's a debate there about who would actually be better.
Then Eric Dickerson still holds the record for less games, but Saquon would do it in more games but less carries. So he'll hold a new record for less carries for over 2,000 yards.
It's kind of like, when the 72 Dolphins are like, well, we're the only team in history to go undefeated in regular season and win a Super Bowl. But again, that was like in a time when there was like 2 or 3 less games in the season.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but there's more games in the season now.
So technically,
I guess
the New England Patriots back in the day surpassed that, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. But they surpassed the amount of games. So it's just kind of different
tit for tat. Yeah. Basically. So if he does it in less carries, then give him that record. Give him his own fucking record. Dickerson can keep his. Somebody still needs to beat his if that's the case. Yeah. Even though I guess hypothetically Saquon does, but it's more games but less carries. So records are made to be fucking broken.
Eventually, there's going to be some records that just can't be reached anymore. Like to me,
like Tom
Brady's like what is it? 7 championships? Is it 6 or 7? One of the two. Either way, at some point you just can't reach it now. Mahomes is on his way.
Record.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll at least give him an opportunity. But again, at the same time, if you're the Eagles, you got to understand you can't really do much better in your playoff seeding. So you want to risk injuring him before the playoffs and maybe put your Super Bowl chances at risk. I kind of understand sitting him too. So
yes,
you want to do that?
That single season rushing record is worth that.
Maybe to Saquon, but the rest of the team.
I don't think Saquon. I don't think it does to Saquon.
Maybe not. Mike said in the chat, but did Dickerson break the record of a player that only played 14 games? He might have. I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. You're probably right on that one. So if that's the case, then you can't say that he was the leader. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check. But yeah, there's maybe an argument to be made there for sure. So when it comes
to one more thing, I would like for the MVP not to be a quarterback at least once.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's happened, but it's just more rarer than it used to be. For sure.
That's what I'm saying. But it shouldn't be.
The way the game's
it should
now.
be if there's an outstanding player, because that's what the award is for. But I don't know why it always falls on the shoulders of quarterbacks, which is I don't know.
Yeah. Wasn't it a lineman at one point?
Was it a what?
No.
Wasn't it a lineman? I swear there was a lineman who won. Who won it? It was like a long time ago.
I was gonna say it'd have to be a wild guy because those are typical. They usually don't get no respect. Rodney Dangerfield, no respect.
No, he's not Italian. That's crazy.
Sorry, the bad Rodney Dangerfield. Anyway, moving on. Apparently, the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to be playing their starters in Week 18, or at least their important players, given their home field advantage in their first round bye that they've already secured. So that means the Kansas City Chiefs starters will not be playing a meaningful football game for 25 days, upwards of 3 weeks. Now, this is good for rest, but that's also a long time without playing meaningful football, which means that when you have to play meaningful football after the first round of the playoffs, the divisional round, you could come out a little bit rusty. So is this a blessing or a curse for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Like Dragon
It's
said,
a curse.
if you lose, you lose. I mean, that's on you at that point. I mean, because everybody else, football, like when you get to this level and this point, like I get the point of resting your guys because you don't want them to get hurt, but like you gotta work at that craft every day. Like I don't know, we'll see. It's a double-edged sword.
It is, because I know when Indianapolis, you know, the old Peyton Manning teams, they'd be like, 13 wins or 14 wins. Then they'd rest their players going into the bye, so they'd have 2 weeks off. They come out, and then they come out cold against a hot wild card team we just played the week prior. So that could always happen. But again, you run the risk of injuring players if you just play them through. Some teams opt to do that just to kind of keep them fresh and ready to go. I think the Patriots did that, especially their Super that year they went undefeated. They played the Giants that final week of the season, but it kept them hot, ready to go when it comes to playoff time. So it's a gamble, like you said, it's a double-edged sword. But we interested to see how this year's Kansas City Chiefs navigate that, considering they've kind of had a bit of a rocky season at times anyway, winning some games that they maybe should have won more handily than they did. So they started to play real good football the last few weeks. We'll see if that
But it's
holds
also
out.
one of those things too. Like they've already secured their spot, so they can lose a game or two and not affect
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, exactly. They're not losing that number 1 seed, so they've got that
Yeah,
secured.
so
Yeah, they know they're winning, so why should they care?
Yeah, they got the refs on their side. No,
That's crazy word.
Anyway.
They do, though.
Well, speaking of
It's
stripes,
crazy
though,
word.
we got the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to be traveling to Pittsburgh this week. The Steelers did not play this past week because they had already played. Well, they did. It was on Christmas Day. They didn't play on Sunday. But since their game was already played, they didn't play on Sunday. They play the Bengals this week to wrap up the season. On Saturday night, the Ravens and the Steelers are still vying for the division title. The Ravens played the Browns earlier in the day on Saturday. But depending on what the Ravens do, if the Ravens win, I think they pretty much secure the division. But if the Ravens lose and the Steelers win against the Bengals, the Steelers, I think, clinch the division. So playoff implications. On top of that, the Cincinnati Bengals are also fighting for their playoff lives. They need a win against Pittsburgh in order to potentially get into the wild card spot in the AFC. So big time matchups on Saturday afternoon and evening this week. Thoughts on the Steelers?
Literally, the Steelers are going to have to focus on 2 people, and that is Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Yeah,
you have to find a way to either, I can't even say make them scramble, because if you make them scramble, you have to contain Joe, which the Steelers defense can do and has done. But you have to find a way to lock down Jamar Chase. Because I don't give a shit what kind of trouble Joe is in. If he launches that ball in the vicinity of Jamar Chase, 9 times out of 10, Chase is coming down with that ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done to lock down Jamar Chase for sure. Mike, in a follow-up to that question that Aaron had, the last non-quarterback to win MVP was running back Adrian Peterson for the Vikings in 2012. So 13 years, well, 12 years, I guess, it'd be the 24 season. So, but yeah, so that just goes to show you how long it's been and how rare it is for a running back to win it. So especially in today's NFL for sure. But yeah, it can happen. And I think anybody deserves it. Saquon definitely does. But then again, I would have thought Derrick Henry probably deserved it a few years ago and whatnot too. Did not happen. So it was up to wait to see. As for the Indianapolis Colts, they lose to potentially the worst team in the league this last Sunday. Coming into the game, the Giants had only won 2 games all year and had not won a home game the entire season of 2024. The Indianapolis Colts decide they're going to allow 45 points in this game, and the Colts lose 45-33. And that, of course, eliminated the Indianapolis Colts from any playoff hopes that they had this season. The defense can't stop anyone. The offense is inconsistent. This loss mercifully eliminated the team from the postseason. And I have zero interest in watching Sunday's game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, since the Jaguars will probably beat us somehow at home anyway, especially since Anthony Richardson has already been ruled out. And to be quite honest, there's nothing to play for. Why risk an injury? I totally understand that. But again, it just doesn't sit well with some of his detractors right now with the whole tap stuff. And then he didn't play last week, supposedly because they said he had back spasms, but there was also reports saying he was just sore. So if he was just sore, it's not looking good for him in Indianapolis. So in my opinion, fire them all. Chris Ballard, Gus Bradley, and maybe even Shane Steichen and many of the Colts players in regards to this. 3 years ago, Jim Irsay at the end of the 2021 season had this to say. Remind you, this is 3 seasons ago.
Colts fans here in the desert now and feeling the pain and disappointment from this season. It certainly is something where I apologize for, and we have allowed, and I have allowed, doubt, fear, and a lack of faith to slip into our DNA, and it will not stand. Every walking step in this offseason is committed to getting the horseshoe back to where it should be. We understand what happens, and I understand what happens. It is unacceptable. I promise you one thing, anyone walking into the 56th Street complex this year will be walking in with all chips in.
And 3 years later, not one thing has changed. All
He
chips.
sounds like he drinks a little too much.
Oh yeah, he's got a big
Owning
history
this
of that.
fucking team, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it's partially on his fault. Fix something then.
That's true.
But not only that, you look at this tweet from back in 2018. Adam Schefter tweeted that the Indianapolis Colts were expected to request permission to interview head coach candidates, the Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich, who the Colts ended up hiring, and then Saints assistant head coach Dan Campbell, who, if you don't realize right now, Dan Campbell is currently the head coach of the 14-2 Detroit Lions. And just to think that the Colts could have had Dan Campbell and instead chose Frank Reich, and Frank Reich has now instead also been fired for 2 years. So this is the life of a Colts football fan. It makes you sick to your stomach just seeing that sort of stuff in your timeline. And the dysfunction from this organization has now got former Colts players going off on the culture in Indianapolis this week, including Pat McAfee, Marlon Jackson, T.Y. Hilton, and many more. But most vocal was Pat McAfee, who lit up the Colts organization in this tweet on his X account, which kind of blew up and went viral. But he also had an interesting reaction on his Pat McAfee show that I thought we would talk about and play a little bit here. It's only about 37 seconds. But here's his response to the Colts culture right now.
I'm going to go pitch myself as president of the Indianapolis Colts. Not that I ever would, but I put a plan together and how to get rid of this entire fucking roster, except for Pittman. I want Pittman here. I want Pierce here. D-Buck. Let's keep Quentin Nelson. Let's keep DeForest Buckner. Let's keep Kenny Moore. I like Kenny Moore. Other than that, see ya. Every one of them. Goodbye. Take a hike. Thanks for coming. Jonathan Taylor, trade his fucking ass out of town. How do we go about doing it? You got a second-round pick? Sweet. First would be better. We'll do this for the good of the program. Anthony Richardson was a good project. Get him out of town. Fourth round or whatever the hell you got. See ya. That's what I would do. I'm going to go pitch myself as.
So, yeah. So, he was not happy, period.
I don't disagree with the word he said.
No, he's saying stuff. What's that?
He liked Alec Pierce?
Yeah, well, Pierce has showed promise. Josh Downs has showed promise.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's about 3 or 4, 5, maybe 6 guys that I think like are really good. You need to stick around. A couple of the receivers.
I disagree
Taylor,
with
maybe unless you want
to.
to. Well, yeah, Pittman to me has still always been a top number 2. It's never been a solid number 1. So, maybe.
I would throw the word around Pittman. I'll say it. He's a bust.
Well, I don't know about bust.
I don't know about bust.
You may not. I will.
Okay, but I wouldn't go that far yet. But he's definitely not great.
He's not good.
I mean, he had a good game this last week, I thought. He showed more spirit and heart than a lot of the players on the field.
Yeah,
but Josh Downs is clearly great.
We need
a couple of offensive linemen. Kenny Moore, I'd like to keep Kenny Moore. DeForest Buckner, even though he's kind of aging a bit. But yeah, if you were to tell me even to get rid of Anthony Richardson right now, I'd say you have to at least have a conversation about whether or not that's a viable option, because I have a hard time defending it moving forward. I mean, I tend to say give Shane Steichen and him one more year just to see what happens. But you get a new general manager in there, they're going to want to get their guys too. So this could be a complete blow it up type situation for the Indianapolis Colts right now. And Pat McAfee's only saying what a lot of Colts fans have been saying for the last decade, and he's the one who took flack for it. But for whatever reason, the Colts organization doesn't seem to want to hear it for whatever reason. But just think about this. The Colts over the last decade.
Really? They don't want to hear it?
Well, either they don't want to admit it, one of the two, that they have an issue, but they've got an issue.
They got a problem.
They've been saying they're going to do this or that. They're going to improve. They're going to do this. We're going to put all chips in or keep chopping that wood or, one game at a time. But we just keep coming back to this. And over the last decade, the last 4 years, the Colts have not made the playoffs. The last 6 years, they haven't had a playoff win. And in the last 10 years, they've not had a division title. So in the crappy AFC South, the Houston Texans have their moments, but the Jaguars and the Titans have been trash butter. I'm trying to clean myself up there.
Hot garbage.
Dumpster fire territory. The Colts can't win this division. We got a problem. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. You guys got any thoughts?
Nobody else here is a Colts fan but me and you, honestly.
Yeah.
Hey.
Fair enough.
No, shut up.
You on a good day. Yeah.
I'm a Colts fan.
I like the Colts.
Yeah, I am.
Matt likes the Colts when they win.
Yeah.
I don't like the Colts.
I'm more of a Colts fan than Matt.
That's true. That is true.
That is a serious accusation.
That is very true.
That is a real accusation.
Where's the lie, Matthew?
Yeah, seriously. That's true.
Look,
you've been wearing Derrick Henry stuff more than you have.
Let me put it this way, okay? I am a bandwagon. I will admit that.
He will proudly admit it, unless you're talking about the Yankees.
I am a bandwagon, except for the Yankees. The reason why I'm a bandwagon with the NFL is because I like all the NFL teams. I enjoy the NFL. I enjoy watching them. I'm a homer because I'm from Indiana, so naturally I gravitate more towards the Colts than I do the other teams that I bandwagon for. But I'm just saying, if you can't get out of the AFC South, Eric's right. You have a problem here.
Yeah.
I feel like honestly, I get what Pat was saying, but I think it's an issue. This is a deep-rooted issue, and like we talked about this before too. Like, what do? Just sell the team, maybe? Because I don't think Irsay's gonna. I know it's not.
He'll give it to his daughter first, which I'm sure she's got some
the
pull
best
already.
Choice?
I don't know. Well, we don't know. We'd have to wait and see. But I mean, I think it's interesting to me that Chris Ballard, who when he became the general manager of the Colts, I had high hopes for because he was coming from Kansas City. I'm going, okay, great. But look what Kansas City has done since Chris Ballard left.
Yeah.
4 of the last 6 Super Bowls, or 3 of the last 6, something like that. And Chris Ballard, we've done nothing. So it makes me wonder if you change that, you might see drastic change from that alone.
I don't know. I think that still with the current roster, you're not.
All I know is come Monday morning, which is officially known around the NFL as Black Monday after the regular season has officially ended, if there are not drastic changes made by the Indianapolis Colts organization, I don't know what to tell you, because they need to start realizing and looking themselves in the mirror and seeing that they've got a big problem.
Tired of not being able to cheer for my team.
I agree with you. I don't even look forward to watching Colts right now. It's just it's fun to watch. And I definitely won't be buying tickets until they improve, unfortunately. But the current playoff brackets look like this on the AFC side of things. The Chiefs has wrapped up the number 1 seed. Everybody's pretty well locked in except for the Broncos. The Broncos could potentially drop out with a loss this week and a Dolphins or a Bengals win. So everybody else is pretty well locked in. The Steelers could maybe switch with the Ravens depending on who wins the division. But everybody else is pretty well set in their spots. So as of right
now,
Bengals. I think that would mean it would be, what is that? 5. Steelers versus the Texans. It might be the Chargers versus the Ravens and the Broncos versus the Bills in the first round of the wild card. So we'll have to wait and see if that ends up holding true or if a few things get shuffled around.
Oh, that Chargers Bill game is money. That's happening.
Matt,
Chargers. No, it would be Broncos Bills.
If Broncos, looks could kill, you'd be dead.
Should be Chargers Ravens.
Yeah, or Chargers Steelers, depending on how this week goes. But
we
Texans
always get the Bengals in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bengals.
Yeah, what happens if the Bengals somehow
come
all the way back?
The Bengals could get in there.
They could. And you'd have 3 of the AFC North teams in there. That could be a lot of fun. I don't know. All I know is if I'm the Steelers, I do not rest on my laurels this weekend for certain. Because
I wouldn't be sleeping easy.
And then they just got to hope the Denver Broncos lose, unless there's a tiebreaker in there I'm unaware of.
Who's Denver playing?
Well, we'll look here in just a second. Hold on, thought.
Okay. I'm sorry.
The NFC Championship or the playoff bracket looks like this. Now, add a win to the Detroit Lions because this is last year's picture. Last week's picture. I couldn't find an updated one. Yeah, it looks like the top seed will be disputed on Sunday Night Football this week, but everybody else is pretty well locked in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers could drop out, and the Atlanta Falcons could slide into that 4th spot.
That's not
they would
happening.
take the division, but the Bucs are going to have to lose. The Bucs control their destiny. So
yeah, the Bucs are on a roll right now.
The Atlanta Falcons are out, but everybody else is pretty well set, except for that 1 and 5 seed, which sets us up for Sunday Night Football, the final game of the NFL season, where it will be for the number 1 seed, the NFC home field advantage, and the NFC North Championship title. On as we close out the season here, the loser will be a 14-win wild card team and fall all the way to the 5th seed and have to go on the road in the wild card, which is crazy. How often do you see 2 14-win teams in week 18 playing each other to get the number 1 seed? It just doesn't happen.
Okay.
So
see,
big time way to end it.
Crazy.
This is where it's BS why Kansas City is where they are.
Why?
Because Kansas City is not as good as these 2 teams.
Well, we'll find out in the Super Bowl if one of these 2 goes to Kansas City.
They will lose week 1.
Oh, if Kansas loses week 1, it's crazy work.
Okay. It'll be crazy work.
Well, it'd be week 2 because
that crazy
Yeah,
work
week
ready.
2. I'm sorry, week 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I forgot.
you know,
Yeah, I forgot they got a bye.
Yeah, they get a bye.
Oh.
So yeah, it's crazy. But
This
this right here,
game, man, this game.
this is the only game. Well, outside of the
Taylor
stuff tomorrow with the
Swift, it's a
Steelers
bye.
and maybe a few other playoff positions, but this is the only game I really care about this weekend. Everything else is going to be a lot of teams resting their players.
And it's Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football, which is the marquee game.
Where is it at?
Well, let me look here. This is the Week 18 slate.
Detroit.
Looks like it's in Detroit. If this is
Oh, are they getting that snow? Are they going to get the snow with us?
it don't matter. It's an indoor
Yeah, it's
stadium.
indoor.
So,
Oh.
but either way. Well, Minnesota would be too technically, but yeah,
Damn. In
So-
Detroit.
that's gonna be tough for Minnesota as well as they're playing.
I know.
That defense has got to come to play,
Man, that Detroit though at home is a different beast.
which is why it's
Yeah.
all the
It's
more
weird to
important.
say out loud right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like, damn, Detroit at home. Ugh.
yeah. This home field advantage for both these teams will mean the world. For one to have the bye, but then of course, like you said, it's all the more important to play at home in these playoffs. So, I mean, there's always going to be that underdog. You don't think they're going to win at those big home games, but yeah, this is definitely vitally
Detroit-
important.
I think Detroit got it.
Oh, look at this. The Broncos. We were talking about who the Broncos play. The Broncos play the Chiefs, who we already said are resting their starters.
Oh, yes.
So if that's the case, the Broncos play their starters. This may be a win and end for Denver, and the Bengals and the Dolphins. It don't matter what they do at that point.
No.
So the
Shit.
Dolphins and the Bengals are going, man, why couldn't Mahomes just play this week? But that's the problem when you leave it in the hands of the tiebreakers and stuff. You know, that's
Yes.
the problem.
That's just what the Indianapolis Colts do. They like
You
to
know
leave
what
it in
also
the
would
hands
be
of the opponent.
hilarious? You know what also would be hilarious?
Oh.
If the Browns beat the Ravens.
Yeah, then
No,
Pittsburgh's
that
the
would not be
driver's
funny.
seat. Yeah. Huh?
If the Browns beat the
That would not be
Ravens,
funny.
that would be hysterical.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
We made the toilet heads beating the Ravens.
I'm actually
Hey
rooting
man,
for the Ravens in that
listen, James Winston. All he needs is a little bit of that Winston magic, brother.
game. No,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the Ravens.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It starts at 4:30 Eastern on ESPN and ABC tomorrow. So, and Bengal Steelers are also ESPN and ABC. So, definitely
Can
worth
we get
checking.
to politics so I can yell at this congressperson?
Well, we're pretty much wrapped up with football, so yeah, we
Okay.
can probably do that. So, yeah, excited for the playoffs. I'm just kind of like get me to playoff mode. But
Yeah.
like I said, that Sunday Night Football game that will be fire. So that one will be worth watching, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Party? Let's have a party.
let's have a party. Yeah. I mean,
Dude, my
whatever.
glasses are foggy.
They're foggy. Huh? All right. Well, let's move into the last portion of the show, which we do every single week here on the channel, which is the politics stuff that we like to end the show with, in case you're not into the politic fair. But let's do that real quick, and we'll discuss all the crazy stuff that's been going on in the real world at this point. What do you? Oh, Trump flag. I got you. All right, let's do that. Here we go. If I can find it. All right, there we go. All right, so we got a crazy week and a lot of things are going on here. This meme here is obviously we got a countdown going on here for until Donald Trump resumes office as president of the United States. But it's been a weird and crazy week. It's getting nuts out there, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into our regularly scheduled topics I have here on the right side, we've got some breaking news that broke today. Uh, the newly elected 119th Congress has officially reelected Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House after two Republicans, Ralph Norman and Keith Self, switched their votes at the last second after a personal call from Donald Trump. Because before that personal call, they were not voting for Mike Johnson. All I'll say is this: President has a mandate, Mr. Speaker. We will hold you accountable to the MAGA agenda. Do not let us down. But this was a big win to start out Trump's second term, though. It is definitely the least amount of drama as possible could have happened so far. So this is good news, regardless whether you, I know there's some detractors of Mike Johnson. He's still, again, iffy with me sometimes. He's got to do his part. But again, we'll hold him accountable if he doesn't. So thoughts on him, Miranda? I don't know how you feel about him.
I hope he does what we need him to do. Him sending money into Ukraine and all this stuff, that shit's got to stop.
Yeah.
And
what's
we'll
your
see.
personal favor? What's your personal favor, Mike? That's my question here. That's got me worried. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so yeah, this is important, but because again, nothing gets done in the House without the the current guy. So we got to get the trying to change.
Well, at least it's what we would consider a rhino Republican, right?
Not really. I mean, he's definitely been close with Donald Trump in recent months, taking
I'm saying
at his rallies and stuff.
He's not really a rhino Republican.
The only thing with Trump is he keeps his friends close and his enemies closer, and you just don't know which it is.
Okay. Mike said, if you have it handy, share the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's urgent. People know they are not alone. I've been there, and it's a battle for sure. Something happened, buddy? If you want to message me privately, let me know if you need to talk to somebody. I don't know what's going on there, but that's a little concerning when I see something like that. Hopefully, maybe not you personally, but somebody you know, maybe. So I hope everything's okay, buddy. So
okay, bud.
But definitely, yeah. If you need help, by all means, anybody who's watching, you need help, you're thinking of suicidal thoughts, please get a hold of somebody, talk to a friend, family member, or call someone. By all means, do not.
Yes,
absolutely. So definitely, absolutely. Moving on a little bit here, a little bit lighter notes of things. But even though we've got a new speaker, the same speaker of the House just kind of got reelected, which is standard whenever a new Congress comes in, they all vote for the Speaker of the House. But of note, there is a biggest loser here. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who's been nominated for the Speaker of the House position, has now lost 20 consecutive votes for Speaker of the House, which is a world record. Maybe if he wasn't dollar store Obama, he'd have a better chance. So just saying. Mike did say it's all good, but something everyone should know and have handy. Absolutely. So by all means, we might look and see if we can pull that up by the end of the show for sure.
Yeah, going off of what Mike said. So the suicide hotline, it's a real simple number. It's 988. So if you have any suicidal thoughts or you just need a life crisis and you need somebody to talk to, they do text as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just 988, everybody.
I did not know that. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Awesome. So yeah, speaking of Hakeem Jeffries, though, he claimed today during the speaker vote that his party, the Democrats, don't deny elections. Yep, he said that with a straight face. Here's the video of him saying that, which is a blatantly false lie.
Thank you for that very generous applause. It's okay. There are no election deniers on our side of the aisle.
Yeah, he said, by the way, the more I look at him talking, he does look like a dollar store Obama or Timu Barack.
Timu version of Barack. I thought the same thing. That's crazy work.
That's messed up. But
the way he did that whole situation.
Not only are there compilations that are hours long of Democrats denying elections, especially during
prominent Democrats.
Yeah, big time, like Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all the above, especially during Trump's first term. Jeffries himself has done it personally.
John Lewis is completely right. There is a cloud of illegitimacy around the election of Donald Trump. The Russians interfered with his election. James Comey and the FBI interfered with his election. The fake news
He's about to say erection
with his election.
Yeah.
John Lewis.
So again, right there, in his own words, and here it is in tweet form. Hakeem Jeffries is an idiot and a hypocrite and a liar. I mean, the fact that Democrats are trying to say we don't deny elections just because the Republicans did last time to some degree. Democrats did it far before Republicans ever did. And we have the video proof and receipts to back it up. I'm just not going to play it here. We played it here at nauseum on the channel before, but we'd be here all night if I played all the different highlights. So go look that up. Big news today, by the way, on top of all that, New York Judge Juan Merchan rejected Donald Trump's bid to dismiss his 34 felony convictions and has ordered Donald Trump to be sentenced on January 10th in the Stormy Daniels New York hush money case. The sentencing was originally postponed indefinitely, and many assumed it wouldn't be brought back until after Trump's next term, potentially in 2029. However, Merchan has decided to move the sentencing up to 10 days before Trump's inauguration, where he'll be sworn in as the 47th president. The order allows President Trump to appear virtually, a good indicator that any possible sentencing will not physically interfere with Trump's performing his presidential duties. But Merchan signals in his written decision that President Trump will face neither jail time nor penalties at his New York City sentencing next week. Merchan wrote about Trump's disdain for judges, juries, and the judicial system, and it being a matter of public record. Well, I'm sorry. Well, when you're falsely accused and railroaded through sham trials, wouldn't you also exhibit disdain for the justice system as it stands right now?
Anybody who's been through the justice system has a disdain for judges and
how it
jurors.
works. Yeah. But remember, DA Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan and the jury were convicting Trump on a booking error, 34 misdemeanors that were trumped up to be felonies, all supposedly to conceal another crime, which no one knows what that crime was. All this where the statute of limitations had already long expired. So, yeah, wouldn't you be a little resentful towards the way the judicial systems treat you as well? But Merchan plans to sentence President Trump next week to an unconditional discharge. That's what they're saying. In respect of the fact that he doesn't want to interfere with the presidential immunity doctrine of a president-elect, meaning Trump will not be subject to imprisonment, probation, or fines. Basically meaning that the court acknowledges the jury's guilty verdict. This basically solidifies Donald Trump as a convicted felon officially now, since he'd be sentenced. But the judge could find that Trump sitting in court all this time was punishment enough, so he wouldn't face any punishment. And the case would then be closed. Trump would essentially just have a blemish or a mark on his record, but no other penalty. It would just means that Trump won't have this hanging over his head for the next 4 years. Only civil legal cases will be left to deal with, but all the criminal cases would be gone. But if I know Donald Trump, I don't believe he'll be happy about this until his name has been fully cleared. I don't know if I'd be able to live with a felony conviction on my record if I knew I was innocent either. Trump is expected to possibly request a stay of sentencing, given the timing so close to the inauguration. If the sentencing takes place as scheduled next Friday, as it's currently laid out, after the sentencing, that'll allow Donald Trump to appeal this to try and continue to fight for his name, potentially all the way to the Supreme Court. So if you ever needed any more proof that criminal lawfare cases against Trump were nothing more than show trials, here you go. The court essentially just acknowledged that this whole trial was a joke, just as Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, has said all along. What an effing clown show. So it's basically a semantic thing where, he could be labeled as a felon, but he's not going to get punished. Or he can continue to fight it all the way.
It just makes the fact that they've been calling him a felon this whole time, now they can say it and it's true. That's all it is.
Yeah. So, 10 days before his election.
Here's another statement from the mouth of the horse over here. Who cares?
I've seen this meme a couple of times where it's like a group of people in a circle, and there's one person outside the circle that says something, and like everybody looks at him and just gives him a thumbs up, like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. Like that's how you feel. Like I'm over it. Yeah.
You used
like,
that meme last week. Yeah.
This is one of these situations. It's so people can be outside the circle and yell, he's a felon.
He's a convicted. He's a felon now, which he never was before. People forget that. He was never sentenced, so he was technically never officially a felon. This would make him a felon, technically. But again, we laid out about how this is a sham trial and sham case anyway. So it's not even a real felony conviction. It's really not. And you won't even be punished for it.
It's one of those things that they can say to get the mega community all riled up and all the Trump supporters all riled up. Oh, just stop paying attention to it. Just if they, all right, yeah, you got it. I'm not about to argue this with you. But
they brought this up so they can 10 days before the inauguration say, see, he's the first convicted and only convicted felon to be president. That's all they're doing this for. It's a sham.
Tell you what, can't wait till he starts merchandising that shit. Then what?
Yeah, I'll buy a shirt just to support him.
Then what? Like then where's your argument going to go?
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to keep trying. No, it's just disgusting. But on the bright side, it doesn't look like he's going to have to face any jail time or probation or fines or anything like that of the sort. So if he doesn't even have to show up in person, just but can only show up virtually, just goes to show he's not going to get punished. So that's good. But at the same time, yeah, just kind of silly if you ask me. But that was the big news of the day. Earlier this week, there's some other big news. Back to our regularly scheduled topics that before all the breaking news happened today. Former President Jimmy Carter passed away this week. He was 100 years old. From all accounts, many say he was a good Christian man. However, before Joe Biden came along, he was considered the worst president in United States history. At least he didn't appear to be corrupt like Joe Biden is. Plus, he, like many others, questioned the legitimacy of Trump's first term due to Russia interference, which has since been proven to have been fabricated by the Hillary Clinton campaign. Here's him calling Donald Trump illegitimate if I don't have to go searching for the video, and apparently I do because of the stupid refreshing thing. So that's all here. I'll find it real quick. It's just my computer has really been dumb this week. Maybe. Oh, Lord. Oh, well.
Russia has been proven by our intelligence community to have interfered with one of our human rights, which is the right of free and fair elections. What's your reaction? How should we deal with Russia?
Well, the president himself should condemn it, admit that it happened, which I think 16 of the intelligence agencies have already agreed to say. And there's no doubt that
they once said the laptop
in the election. And I think the interference, although not yet quantified, if fully investigated, would show that Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered on his behalf.
Typical
So you believe
Democrats.
President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
Busted. But yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to remove this because it's going to be. This might be a long segment, guys, because again, it's not refreshing, right? All right. Scott Jennings also had his own take on Jimmy Carter. Let's listen to what he has to
possible,
say.
I think he was even a worse ex-president because of his meddling in U.S. foreign policy, because of his saddling up to dictators around the world, because of his vehement views, anti-Israel views, and more than dabbling in anti-Semitism over the years. He often vexed Democrats. Obama didn't even have him speak at his 2008 convention. He put Bill Clinton in a terrible foreign policy box on a North Korea nuclear issue. I think he was a guy who had a huge ego and believed that he was uniquely positioned to do all these things, even after the American people had roundly and soundly rejected his leadership. So I respect people who run for president and get elected president, but in his particular case, I think he time and again proved why he was never suited for the office in the first place.
So yeah, so again, it definitely was not considered a good president at the time for sure. Oh my goodness, this may be almost impossible to do. I'm not going to lie to you. I may have to wing this to some degree because it's just refreshing all these topics I had pulled up, and I'm not going to be able to scroll and find them all. But anyway, While Scott Jennings would obviously know more about Carter's presidency than me, I personally didn't have anything against Jimmy Carter. Since I wasn't alive during his only term in office, I just missed out being born right after he lost his re-election bid to Ronald Reagan. However, I highly respect his widely known work for Habitat for Humanity, even into his old age. And unlike most of the left and Democrats who celebrate when someone on the right dies, I personally would never do that, as most on the right wouldn't. So sincerely, rest in peace and condolences to his friends and family.
Yeah,
Any thoughts on Jimmy Carter? While I try to maybe salvage some of this.
I mean, I
very
wasn't
sad.
allowed either for his. I don't know.
Oh, you little shit. Come here.
I just recently heard a clip from David Letterman and Jimmy Carter.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about how bad Atlanta is for human trafficking.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
I don't
really?
know. The clip was pretty old, but I remember when the Olympics were there that there was like a bunch of people that come up missing from Atlanta. So just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
kitty.
Well, I'm gonna have to just read a lot of this because I can't. All the topics I had have now disappeared. So
Well, X is being stupid. Just
Yeah,
real
X is-
quick.
yeah.
Elon has changed his replies to only verified users. So
Okay.
basically, if you don't pay for your subscription and get verified, you don't have a right to free speech on X at the moment.
Yeah, I disagree with that. If that's the case,
I do too.
I like
I
Elon,
think-
but that's the wrong call. If that's the case.
I think this is all like an exposure op because he also said he was going to change the algorithm to stop showing so much negativity. But all we're seeing is stuff about the Cybertruck being blown up, and now there was a shooting in DC. It's like he wants all this media, independent journalism, but now he's bitching about it. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Decide what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, last week we were all retarded because we weren't foreign. So.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, like I said, I'll at least discuss. We could just discuss the topics, I guess, and I'll just kind of give you my thoughts on them. But did anybody hear about the global fog that took place earlier this week?
Mm-hmm.
It sucks.
No, I
don't
did
have any
not.
Photos and stuff. Apparently, there were numerous locations around the globe that experienced potentially unusual fall conditions on Monday, from Europe to the United States, which affected 27 states. I had a picture from Poland pulled up. It looked like normal fog, and there was one guy who was looked like ash was kind of falling from the sky a little bit. It wasn't snow. Kind of looked like maybe drizzle
That's
though. So
kinda
I don't know how
cool.
much. I don't know how much there was into it, but there were a lot of reports going around that said that people were getting sick with sore throats because it smelled like chemicals in the air. So it kind of disappeared kind of quickly after a day or two, but definitely a lot of reports going around out there. So I didn't know if you guys have seen that.
That's strange.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of people online kind of question what was going on there. Obviously, the bigger topics I wanted to talk about tonight was obviously the terrorist attacks over the last couple of days, and an Islamic terror attack in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, where a truck rammed into a crowd celebrating the New Year's Eve festivities, killing many and injuring more. Definitely can't show the video. I wasn't going to do that anyway, but I was going to show some photographs of the truck.
So
But they found an ISIS flag on the back of the truck hanging from a pole. It also postponed the Sugar Bowl for a day. And of course, the media was, sharing headlines about how, truck plows through crowd, but again, did not mention that it was an Islamic, terrorist who did it. They didn't want to mention that in their headlines. So again, they were kind of
He
like,
was an American soldier. I mean,
Well,
he wasn't a lawless, but he
Yeah.
went to he was stationed at Fort Bragg and was in the military for 10
And
years.
it sucks. I wonder if I could pull up that video that I had. That there was talking about the connection between the Las Vegas truck bombing and the driver.
Well, if you got it in the chat, you could play that video of the manifesto being read.
Let me do that. Like I said, we're doing this on the fly tonight, guys. I apologize. It's just that X is being stupid, like you said. So let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Maybe we can play that video, Lisa. Maybe I can find the other one. But yeah, there was obviously the connection between the Cybertruck driver. They were both either former or active military. Both of them went to Fort Bragg, and both of them obviously attacked on the same day. Both rented their cars from the same Turo rental app. So it's like very fishy stuff about how could you possibly say these are not connected? But we had a woman who was a complete Joe Biden DEI hire with a nose ring trying to tell us how it was not connected, and Joe Biden saying there's no connection yet, but even this was a day later after all this stuff come out, but yet they're trying to say there's no connection, which is kind of silly if you ask me. It's like, come on, it's like, why is it we're always faster than our government agencies out there like the FBI? I can't understand why. Let's pull
and that scares me, really.
Yeah.
Because they should know this by now.
Well, Trump said that the CIA needed to get involved. I think it was yesterday. And the CIA is already involved. They're responsible for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Here's that video that Miranda had. If I can get it to work. It's a Sean Ryan show. Sam Shoemate, is that how you say his name? Revealed the Las Vegas Cybertruck bomber emailed him before the attack. So let's listen to what he has to say.
You want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or on to the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operations Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff. And this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with redacted IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Sean's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
To be honest.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on that, Miranda?
I don't know. A lot of people on X are questioning it being valid or not. Like they said, I seen right before Brandon got home tonight that they found a second letter in the truck that said something. This isn't a terrorist attack. It's a warning or something like that. I don't know. It seems very coincidental.
Well, the thing I could understand, I mean, obviously you're going to blow the truck up. Which would be worse? Because everybody was saying he shot himself, then the truck exploded. Do you buy that?
No, I think they said that he was already dead before it exploded.
Yeah, they said I think it was like a driver triggered bomb. But if he was dead, what do you do? Like drop the, the detonator or what?
I think that he was dead before the dump bomb went off.
Well, listen, Elon said the day that it happened, he was sending a team to try to recover the video from inside the vehicle.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
and then nothing else about it.
Yeah,
so,
because let me tell you something. I don't trust what those people say.
I don't either, and they guaranteed they have a video of it.
If nothing else, there may have been surveillance video from the Trump hotel, which maybe could have seen what happened inside the truck to a degree.
There is something more to this.
Oh yeah, this is very fishy, especially with the two attacks on the same day. Very much similar. Like I said, the two guys were both from Fort Bragg. Don't forget too, the gunman who tried to shoot Donald Trump on the golf course that was unsuccessful. Also was from Fort Bragg and did a lot of different media, met up there 100 different times. So if you ask me, the incoming administration needs to investigate what's going on at Fort Bragg. I mean, they need to get there may be some insider things going on that are radicalizing some of these guys.
Does this give you Oklahoma City bombing vibes?
Maybe they tried.
This
is something different.
Yeah, that was more for paperwork.
What did they say he shot himself with?
I don't know.
I think he had a Desert Eagle.
So
that's the gun he had on it.
That's so. You know the Desert Eagle.
But I don't listen. I don't know if that's what he shot himself with.
Okay.
I remember a Desert Eagle, and I think he might have even bought that on the way to where he was going.
It's not the easiest gun to just shoot in general.
Well, not only that,
you can just fly that on a whim.
If you have the credentials for it, yeah.
I mean,
but he knew his shit, and he knew how to build bombs and stuff. But it just doesn't seem he's trying to get attention to this story, but it doesn't make sense.
I heard that part of or that wrinkle of it. That's very interesting. But the reports I was seeing was there were reports that say that he and his family were saying that he was a massive Trump supporter. But I don't know about you, but every time the media says a Trump supporter is the one who committed a crime against Donald Trump or one of his properties, are we supposed to just buy that narrative? Because that makes no sense.
I mean, if he was really actually sacrificing himself, he picked the best vehicle to do it in. Nobody got hurt at the hotel.
Right.
I mean,
which Elon even called who he said the evil attacker, the knucklehead who tried to do it. Obviously, didn't think that went through because it backfired because the truck actually held the explosion in place. And instead of shooting outward, it shot upward because of the way the truck is designed.
Oh, sorry, there's another wrinkle in this.
Okay.
This guy's an actor. He was in a reality show, I believe.
Okay.
So
Take your word for it. I hadn't heard that one either.
Never heard that either.
There's so much out there, but I'm just surprised, like the way the explosion happened. Like literally, it's parked right next to the doors. You can see in this photo, but not even the glass was blown out of these doors. It's like this is like the perfect ad for a Cybertruck I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when it comes to car bombings. At
It's
least.
weird. Like, I don't know, man. It all seems weird. It's all weird.
Well, it's like
I'm going to throw out my theory. This guy was a whistleblower. Everything he said was true. He faked his death, and now he's going to be saving the world.
So you think he wasn't there at all?
I feel like somebody did this to prove a point.
But here's the thing, like,
well, that's the other thing too. They said his body was charred beyond recognition, but they found his passport in. It's kind of like the 9/11 planes hit the the World Trade Center towers. They still found the passports of like the terrorists out there, but the plane was eviscerated. The truck is gone. The body's charred beyond recognition, but the passport survived. Why? Maybe you're trying to say it was this guy and it really wasn't. Might be onto something. I mean.
That is weird though. Like you found paperwork, but the car was in flames for a while.
Yeah,
something just don't.
I guess the glove boxes are very good condition too for the Cybertrucks. But it reminds me when they were trying to say it was a Trump supporter who did it though, which is why it makes no sense. It's like when they said Thomas Matthew Crooks, who actually shot Trump in the ear. They said he was registered as a Republican, which he was. But many people forget that in Pennsylvania, where Trump got shot, there were Democrats who were registering as Republicans to vote against Donald Trump and vote for Nikki Haley during the primary in order to get Donald Trump out. So he probably just didn't change his voter registration back to Democrat, which is why he was registered Republican. So again, when the media tries to say it was a Trump supporter who tried to kill Trump or a Republican who tried to kill Trump, there are reasons why those are said. I don't understand this one yet. But hopefully it'll come out. But it just had me thinking.
I don't know.
By the way, does anybody else think it's weird that we have far more information about the New Orleans attacker and this guy in the Cybertruck than we have had about Thomas Crooks in 5.5 months? Ironic to anybody else?
I'm a little fishy to me.
Yeah, I mean,
well, the ex-detectives had it all figured out before the FBI even spoke. So,
I mean. I don't know what to tell you. It's just crazy. And of course,
this is why they want to control the media.
Yeah, and of course, as you said, the media again with the cyber, just like they did with the Bourbon Street attack. The Cybertruck is apparently just caught fire spontaneously outside of the Trump Tower. You know, had no bombs or fireworks or anything explosives in it at all. It just spontaneously combusted. They're trying to say initially it was like the EV battery caught fire. I'm sorry, when EV batteries catch fire like that, they don't blow up like that. Plus, if you saw the video of the explosion, you could literally hear like fireworks whistling in the background and seeing fireworks exploding around the truck. So it wasn't just an EV battery that caught fire. So if you're reading that and believing that, you need to open your eyes to the video that was actually going around. But
were those fireworks or bullets?
No, they said they had firework mortars in the back of the truck. So they were light. It was catching it on fire and setting it off. It's like if you had a fire at a fireworks shop, you know.
So he sent emails to a bunch of different podcasts and networks and everything trying to blow the whistle on this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Sean Ryan just did it, but he showed an email that he actually sent to his show that he apparently just found.
Well, here's the video I was looking for where it explains these deep connections between the Bourbon Street driver and the Cybertruck driver here in this video, which is
behind the attacks yesterday have deep connections to each other. Both of these men, the one behind the Cybertruck Vegas outside Trump Tower attack and the man behind the New Orleans attack, both of them served in the U.S. Army. Their connection does not stop there. In 2012, they were both stationed in Fort Bragg together. Both of the cars yesterday that were used to carry out the acts of violence were rented through the Turo app. Turo is essentially the Airbnb of car renting. You can rent out your own car, and the cars that were used yesterday were both rented out through the Turo app. Now, there are a lot of people in the U.S. Army. There's a lot of people that are stationed at Fort Bragg, and there are also a lot of people that use the Turo app. But to have all of that and then also carry out what they carried out yesterday, on the same day in separate cities, it doesn't. I just ran the numbers. It doesn't add up. And we all know Rule 18 of Jack Mack's life rules. Coincidences don't exist. Coinky dinks don't exist. And it's also worth noting, on top of all of this, Ryan Ruth, the individual that was arrested for trying to assassinate Donald Trump on his golf course in Florida, visited Fort Bragg 147 times over the past 4 years, staying overnight on 29 occasions. I don't like that one bit.
No, nor should you, because I mean that's concerning. You ask me. I mean they need to seriously get somebody investigating Fort Bragg and see what is exactly going on there and what is happening
after Trump comes back in. Because if somebody does it from this administration, we ain't gonna find out shit.
No, they won't even look if it's up to them for
No.
sure. But again, let's see if I can.
They're looking.
Oh yeah, they're looking.
to
Also, after all that evidence come out, like I said, Joe Biden come out and tried to say there's no connection yet. A whole day after all this evidence already come out, which we already saw. So
I
our
don't
commander in
believe a damn
thief
thing
was
that
doing
man
some
says.
great investigative work. But we clearly showed you the connections here. But Joe Biden is on record as saying that ISIS or Al Qaeda are not the most existential threat. It's white supremacy because all y'all are racist.
Full threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al Qaeda, white supremacists. Terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat.
Okay, so it's more important than ISIS or Al Qaeda, even though an ISIS terrorist just carried out one of the largest terror attacks since 9/11. But we're all just racist, you know. So right up there with climate change, I guess, is about as important as white. You know, no, I'm not saying white supremacy doesn't exist; it's not important. But I'm just saying climate change. I don't consider that important. Climate change is a thing; it's not an existential threat. But ISIS and Al Qaeda are clearly the bigger threat than white supremacy. I'm sorry, most people are just not racist, in my opinion. But yeah, so in my opinion, the government is the enemy here. Not to mention, following these two attacks, in just the last few days alone, we've had multiple mass shootings, active shooters. A third truck drove into a crowd in New York City. If you count the one in Germany, that's the third truck. A bomb threat via a semi-truck in South Carolina. An airplane crashed into a warehouse in California, and a man was driving erratically on a sidewalk outside the U.S. Capitol building. But the government says everything is fine. This all just happened this week alone in the United States.
That picture is exactly how it is, Eric.
Yeah.
I like that depiction. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. And it's not okay.
I mean, is the world just gone mad? Or are, as we've talked about and speculated a few times, are terrorist sleeper cells across the globe, whether they've been radicalized in this country, at Fort Bragg possibly, or those who crossed our border illegally, are they being activated right now?
Remember all those cell phones that were blowing up. Do they have them here? Or pagers or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talk about Israel?
Yes.
Iran
Yeah.
or whatever it was? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Israel used them to take out terrorists. You know,
Yep.
Yeah, they manufactured them. That, in a way, it was a smart war tactic, really, to be honest with you. Not even have to break
Israel's probably got people here ready to do it to us.
Let's hope not. I mean, I don't consider Israel an enemy personally. I think
I
they're
do.
one of our. Okay,
I'm going to
well,
publicly say it now. I do.
okay, well, entitled to your opinion.
We'll see what happens.
We'll have to talk about that one maybe off the show. I want to get your opinion on it.
Yeah.
But so apparently, you know, all this is now granted, like you said, the two terrorist attacks, the two truck drivers were not, you know, illegal migrants or anything like that, but they were radicalized, or maybe in the case of the Cybertruck driver, maybe he was trying to, you know, get a word out or something. But obviously, you know, the open border is still an issue, and it's part of the reason why we have all this violence and things like that. So instead of, you know, completely shutting it down and, you know, making things better, instead we got Joe Biden doing things like this instead. A while back, Joe Biden cut deals with the 9/11 masterminds and co-conspirators to spare their lives. But public backlash was so intense that his own defense secretary then tried overturning it. Well, a court this week just ruled to uphold the plea deal, so the terrorists will not be receiving the death penalty and will continue living off our tax dollars. How are these animals still rotting in our prisons 24 years after 9/11? Answer that one for me. I mean, I don't understand that one. Unless, again, a lot of people think 9/11 was not what they said it was completely either. All sorts of ideas on that one. Building 7, especially for me, is a little sketch. But
Yep.
that's a whole nother podcast for sure.
Mhm.
But knowing our justice system, the way they've been working as of late, I'd be surprised if Biden doesn't release these masterminds again before he leaves office too. So just keeping these guys alive only makes this possibility of happening again. That's just, in my opinion, just a waste of energy.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a fan of Joe Biden.
well, you think not? By the end of this podcast, you're going to hate him probably if we could get any of this to work. But by the way,
I hate him
do you
already.
all remember, by the way, when Donald Trump and Joe Biden met at the White House after Trump was elected, and Biden promised a smooth transition?
Yeah.
Well, Biden has done nothing but try and make things difficult for Donald Trump in order to sabotage him, from pardoning Hunter Biden to keeping Pfizer and Moderna safe from investigation to commuting sentences of the death sentences for murderous scum and selling off border wall materials. If Trump did any of these things during the 3 months post-election and pre-inauguration, the media would have eviscerated him. But where's the criticism for Joe Biden? Can someone explain that one to me? No backlash at all when Joe does it, I guess. It's perfectly fine. But apparently...
But Eric...
But what?
He's not competent enough to be president.
No, he's not. But yet he still is in making vital decisions about our country's future.
But that's the voice of public opinion.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
What?
They really haven't talked about Kamala. She was the one that ran, they were all talking
No, she
about
fucked
her
up the
before.
pledge. She fucked up the pledge today.
I got it, by the way. Yeah.
Okay.
During the Senate, voting for the Speaker of the House and stuff.
Oh, shit.
Kamala Harris said, please, okay, here's the video. She says, join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. She fucks it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Let's listen to this. Again, listen to what she says and then listen to the actual pledge.
Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
You hear what she said?
Yeah, to United. Yeah.
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the United States. What everybody else said, to the flag. And then she caught up with them. But it's funny because right before this, she says, help join me while we sing the pledge or say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. But then she omits the to the flag part. It's like she psyched herself out or something. Like, remember.
She sounds pissed.
She sounds drunk. Is what
Sounds
she sounds.
annoyed.
She's about to
That's
lose
what
her
has to
job
be
here,
there.
which, by the way, she now has been removed from all official Senate and confirmation duties and things like that. It's now JD Vance's job. But Kamala Harris, 75 million votes for this woman who couldn't even get the Pledge of Allegiance right.
It just shows you how, I will use the word, brainwashed people are.
75 million votes. But at least the border... Apparently, the Biden administration has now been ordered to stop selling the border wall materials, though. Apparently, there was a massive win in, I think it was Texas. Trump Truth Socialed out a post talking about how now that they were not allowed to sell the border wall materials anymore. So that's a big win. So they can
That's
actually
so
use them.
childish for them to even freaking do that shit.
Petty. Absolutely petty. Speaking of petty, this is unacceptable if you ask me. Joe Biden is apparently set to permanently ban offshore oil drilling, immediately making the energy crisis harder for Trump to fix. Biden plans to use a 72-year-old law to make it difficult to revoke. This will only drive gas prices up, at the very least, keeping gas prices as high as they currently are, hurting the American people in the process. Trump would still be allowed to drill on land, though, but he should have the option as president and not be hamstrung by his predecessor. But King Biden here believes he knows better than anyone else.
King Biden.
I changed my mind. Those 75 million people that voted for Kamala, let's just put them all somewhere. And they can have their president.
California.
And they can have their high gas prices, and they can have their foods.
Hey,
poison
you send them to
food
Canada.
And Ozempic and meth.
We're not sending them to Canada because Canada is going to be the 51st state.
I can't wait for that.
Well, you know what? That's a lot of unusable land. We don't want all that gold. They could go.
They can all live up there with the Eskimos.
No. Food comes from the store. It doesn't come from farms.
Man, did you ever see that video?
Yeah.
When they asked that chick or something where food came from, she goes the store, and he was like, "No."
Probably a voter. Probably a voter. But yeah.
Back on topic, Eric. That's done. The oil. That's just
Well, in my opinion, we need to change the rules here because when you lose an election, you should either be out the very next day, or at the very least, not be able to make major policy decisions out of pettiness that's going to further destroy this country before you leave office.
Yes.
And I say that the same thing when Trump leaves office too.
Yep.
Or that are going to drastically hinder the policies that the new president is going to enforce.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
These days between the election and the inauguration is worse than my waiting for Christmas as a child ever could have been. It is so nerve-wracking to see all this bullshit going on between now and then, knowing the majority of the freaking people in this country do not want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have to sit here and take it.
Yep.
But hopefully, some free thinkers that did vote for that side are now realizing, wait, maybe we were wrong.
Maybe, but they won't admit it fully until Trump's back and things are better. And they can see that it didn't take a rocket scientist other than Elon
figure it out. Yeah.
to figure it out.
And even then, there's those people that are beyond that. There's no hope for them.
No, there isn't. Unfortunately, we know a couple, and you know what? They'll be miserable in their own life forever because nothing will ever make them happy. So fuck them.
Well, speaking back on the oil drilling thing real quick, though, do you guys remember that prophet I showed you guys a video of that predicted the Donald Trump assassination attempt?
Yes.
Prophet Brandon Biggs. Well, he's back in another clip that's going viral because back in October, he predicted the Bourbon Street truck driving thing that just happened. And he also mentions Las Vegas. He also mentions Nashville, Tennessee, which hasn't happened, at least yet. Let's listen to what he has to say here back in October, predicting what just happened.
This to you as you pray and as we pray together. So he gave me a little piece of a puzzle yesterday. And so I'm this is serious. You know, and a lot of people, I saw that people clicked out at 11 minutes. You didn't even hear where the cities were unless you saw it in the comment section down below. And that's fine. I'm not here to take your time. I'm here to instruct you what the Holy Spirit tells me to tell you that we need to pray about. And if you feel led to pray with me, fine. If you don't, fine. Go pray with somebody else. But whatever you do, pray. We have work to do. So the city was New Orleans. And it was interesting because I only saw one individual in New Orleans. Now, whenever it spread, the New Orleans thing was not as hot. I want to say in the vision, it was not as intense to be concerned about that as much as what I saw Nashville, Tennessee. Whenever I saw Nashville, Tennessee and was interceding for Nashville, it was a very strong something. And then from the Holy Spirit, it's not just something, it's a Holy Spirit check. It's like, there's something there. And then I saw a major event taking place in Nashville. Then I saw in Las Vegas. And what I thought was really interesting was it was all Middle Eastern men, like terrorists, Al-Qaeda stuff, you know, like what does it be? ISIS. That's who it was. But like those kind of people. But they were and they were attacking bar areas, places that they thought were unholy. Like which Christians should too, but places that they thought the infidels were it was a place of even a blasphemous place of a sin, a bar, getting drunk, doing things that were dancing or being immoral in these cities. New Orleans is a very, Bourbon Street is very bad. And I've never been to Nashville. I've never been to Las Vegas. I went on a cruise out of New Orleans before, and
now, obviously, he mentions Nashville, Tennessee. So, and he said, Middle Eastern descent or whatever, which obviously one of them wasn't. The Cybertruck driver was he just white? I think. I don't think he was Middle Eastern for sure. But so he's not 100% accurate in this one, 100%. But he still got the city of New Orleans, Las Vegas, one person attacking places of like bars, Bourbon Street. Everybody was drunk on New Year's Eve. Now, obviously, the Nashville thing hasn't happened yet. Now, a lot of people who believe in Bible prophecy and people who profess nowadays and things like, or prophesy nowadays, believe that we can pray and intercede on behalf of some of these prophecies and sometimes can prevent bad things from happening. So maybe that's what happened with Nashville, Tennessee, or it just hasn't happened yet. Obviously, he also predicted the Donald Trump assassination attempt with the bullet, like we talked about prior. But he also went on to talk about how the first 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency would be a very bad economic downturn, almost akin to the Great Depression or worse. Now, we also speculated when we heard that about could that mean that maybe Biden administration does something on the way out that hinders and makes the job harder for Donald Trump? The oil production stuff where he just had banned offshore drilling could be a part of that. Could make the economy get worse. We'll have to wait and see. But hopefully he's wrong on the economic downturn because it's obviously pretty bad as it is. But it's just interesting to note this guy has been relatively right, at least in this case, twice now.
Sad as it is.
Can we just quickly point out all the white that's going on?
Oh, at his house? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
heaven, angels, he's a pastor. So,
I know, but like that's just too much white. And that little hoodie he got on.
It's crazy.
Does it remind you of a Diddy party?
Aaron's gonna
That's
do
crazy.
it for you. I gotta get out.
It's borderline cultish a little bit.
Again, some people don't believe in Bible prophecy. Obviously, if you believe in the Bible, you believe in prophecies because prophecies were in the Bible. But some people, like a lot of times, people will get online and just say, "Well, this is going to happen," and then, of course, it never happens. So everybody's just, talks about being a kook. But this guy, at least, like I said, that video was back in October. The Trump thing he did back when the solar eclipse happened in March, months before Trump got shot, and he described that with eerie accuracy. So it's just at least worth considering. Maybe somebody to keep an ame on. Going forward, just to see what he has to say, for sure. But we'll have to wait to see if anything.
Yeah, I used to listen to. I haven't listened to him in a while, but his name was Praying Medic, and he was an atheist before. I guess I don't remember how many years before I started listening to him, but he started reading the Q drops and stuff, and he would get these dreams, and it was all through the first term, and it was pretty accurate. He actually saved somebody's life. Ron Watkins, which was the board owner for 8chan, so where Q started, he got real sick, and Praying Medic had a dream about it and contacted Ron. It was crazy story. But yeah,
there's another. I think it's a pastor. He's by the name of Kim Clement. Also prophesied years ago about a guy. I think the prophecy kind of described Donald Trump becoming president and things like that, and that's kind of come true too. So I think there are instances where that does happen nowadays. Not so much as like maybe in biblical times and stuff, but but there's a lot of people who believe in that sort of stuff, and it's just hard to for me to see because obviously I've never had something like that in my own personal life, obviously, but at the same time that's where faith comes in as well. But just interesting to hear about that for sure. This week also we got speaking of criminal lawfare cases against Donald Trump, Trump's appeal in the E. Jean Carroll case was rejected despite all the evidence that Donald Trump wasn't allowed to use in the case. The evidence that he was not allowed to use is listed here, including E. Jean Carroll's social media post where she had sexual fantasies about Donald Trump. Her social media post saying that The Apprentice was her favorite show. In an interview, she said most people consider rape as sexy. Number 4, she said she can't remember what year the rape happened in. I don't know about you. If you're raped, I think that's something you would never forget. Also, she was accused. She had accused 8 other men of rape, also with no evidence. And of course, the dress that she said she was wearing wasn't produced until a decade later. All this stuff was after the rape supposedly happened. So, does this person seem stable to you? Let's listen to some of her. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, God. I was just going to say, I hope she is the first patient back in the mental insane asylums when Trump opened them back up.
This person is not stable. Listen to some of her crazy kooky moments.
Charge against Donald Trump for this? Why not?
I would find it disrespectful to the women who are down on the border, who are being raped around the clock down there. But for the women down there, and for the women actually around the world.
And it was all fairly playful.
Also interesting to note what she just said there. She said she wouldn't consider what happened to her rape because it was disrespectful. There were people in the media, including George Stephanopoulos, who we talked about last week, who's now having to pay Donald Trump all this money, or his network is, and he has to issue an apology because he kept saying that he was found liable for rape. Even in her own words, she said it wasn't rape. He was found liable for sexual assault, which could be a litany of things that's not even that big of a deal. Like you just brush up against somebody the wrong way and they're going to say you sexually assaulted me. So keep that in mind when you go over some of these videos.
Oh, it was charming. It was exciting. Remember what Donald Trump was like in 95, 96?
So he was
On
charming.
the counter were these fancy lingerie boxes that they used to have back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You wore lingerie in the 90s, I'll bet, Joy. Well, he didn't suggest it. He shouted it.
Creepy as
He
fuck.
shouted lingerie. He may have shouted underwear.
Yeah.
You know, okay.
Were you scared? Were you
No,
angry? Were
I
you
was too panicked to be scared.
too panicked?
Why she leaned in like that?
And I put my life on the line.
Hold on, you'll find out.
Well, hold on a second. What do you mean you put your life on the line?
Well, people have told me I have to be careful.
You've gotten death threats.
I am not looking at death threats. I had the idea that I'm going to make him put it on over his pants. That was my idea.
Mm-hmm.
You see how funny that would be to make him put that on?
I guess my question is could there be any DNA
Have
on
no
there?
idea. I do not know if the president ejaculated. Have no idea. Lawrence, I wish I had said, I'll tell you my age if you show me your tax returns.
Yeah, it would have been helpful now.
Well, so I'm holding my handbag like that. The only reason I know I'm holding my handbag is because I discovered it in my hand when I got to the street.
The statement that he said, which he's just made, which is she's not my type, number one. That was the number one
I
thing.
love that I'm not his type. I'm an archer. I have bows and arrows, you know. Yeah, fine. I think there's just too, never mind.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
Listen.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
Okay.
You're fascinating to talk to. Does she seem stable to you?
She seems a little
nuts.
sexual predator-ish. If you ask me, that sounds crazy as hell.
Maybe Trump ought to, sue her for sexual assault. That's probably what
At
happened.
least get a restraining order.
For
I mean, but we must believe all women, unless a woman accuses a Democrat of sexual misconduct. But if we accuse a Republican, the woman must be telling the truth. Right?
Gotta be. That's
like I said,
crazy.
all these holes that Trump was not allowed to use and submit as evidence in the court case. So again, another case against Donald Trump, which is if all the evidence was allowed to be presented in a fair and just way, Trump would owe her money, which by the way, he's appealing. And I think he won an appeal, if I'm not mistaken, in this case, as a matter of fact, some of it anyway, maybe not I think he's trying to get the $83 million they say he owes her now back. So we'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, which by the way, she said she was going on a spending spree and things like that with that money, And then let's not forget, she, according to Trump, and of course this is documented too, she named her cat Vagina. Okay. So who does that? But no, let's anyway, let's move on.
Didn't she say it happened in a department store?
Yeah.
And didn't he say, he goes, why would I go into a department store when I have people to go in there for me?
Yeah. So it just stuff doesn't add up. But these pesky darn facts, they just get in the way. For sure. Let's see if I definitely want to pull that one up. Let me do that right quick here. Yesterday we had an insane thing, in my opinion. If I could find it. Yeah, here we go. Joe Biden officially awarded Liz Cheney with the Presidential Citizens Medal for her work on the sham January 6th committee. Let's listen to this little bit of the ceremony here.
Elizabeth L. Cheney for putting the American people over party.
Yeah, right. Watch how creepy this is, by the way.
Yeah.
Biden won't let her go. Got her by the hand. Giving her the medal. I guess he's trying to pose for the camera. He tries to pull away a little bit. He pulls her back. He stands there awkwardly.
There's some people that think Jim Carrey's playing one of the Bidens.
I mean, he did a funny rendition on Saturday Night Live.
This one, he looks. If you could go back to where he's standing there, and I get he's posing for a photo.
But this here, Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Yeah,
It's
this
when he
here.
first hands it to her.
Oh.
And he grabs her hand.
Uh-huh.
He looks like he needs like.
Look at her trying to pull away. He just bags her.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, what the frack?
And even her face changes.
Yeah, she's like, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, listen, if he's not as senile as we think he is, he knows what
he is.
she's done.
Yeah.
So giving her this medal is stupid. So making her stand there awkwardly is just funny.
It's insane to me. But I mean, yeah, I mean,
Why
first
is
of
it
all,
so bad?
First of all, they say she's putting country over party. First of all, she was not doing that at all. She's a
They said-
rhino.
They said the American people.
Putting the American people over party. Okay, same thing, whatever.
Yeah.
She's not a Republican. She's a rhino, which is exactly why she lost in a landslide to Harriet Hageman in Wyoming. Number one, she's a Democrat. That's what she is. Okay. Secondly, I guess witness tampering and destruction of evidence will apparently entitle you to the second highest civilian medal in the United States, at least while Joe Biden is president. Liz Cheney belongs in prison. That's where she belongs. From the crap that she pulled on the January 6th committee. There's now evidence and text messages and emails from Cassidy Hutchinson, who lied on the stand, even though it wasn't technically a trial. That's how they got away with it, because it wasn't in a court of law. It was a show trial. Everybody knew it was a show trial that had any modicum of sense in their brain. You know, Donald Trump is John Wick. He can attack the Secret Service on the beast.
Yeah.
Back out of town with this nonsense. So yeah, just stupid. But just again, they're rewarding her for her efforts there, you know, helping the Democratic Party out, I guess. This was a funny moment on New Year's Eve. Comedian Whitney Cummings called out the Democrats for hiding Joe Biden's dementia, not holding a primary for Kamala Harris, and how terrible Kamala was when she was on CNN during the New Year's Eve celebrations. CNN got eviscerated here. This
was hilarious.
On our brains, the Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Are we still rolling? Am I on? It was amazing that the pro-choice party didn't give their voters one when it came to the presidential candidate.
Bingo.
Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer. Or oh God. Andy just gave me a very scary look. No! I love going around the country because you see that Americans really are more reasonable than they would be portrayed. They're pretty great. And I'm playing bigger and bigger venues now. I thought being a mom would mean that less people would want to come see me. I'm now playing, you know, like 3,000 seat theater, which is about the viewership of CNN these days.
Well,
Not
nice.
this show.
Nice.
All eyes are on this show.
Wow, you're all Andy and I had a tour. We did like 3,000 people.
Yeah, 3,000. Yeah, he probably definitely gets more views than CNN at this point. It's pretty sad and pathetic, really. But yeah, so thoughts on that? You know, Whitney Cummings, a whole lot of
I seen some snippets of that, and I was like, yeah, they did not know she was gonna say that on TV.
Not at all. They were taken aback, like, whoa, okay.
Did you
She even thought she'd get cut off, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, did you see what's his name?
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah,
Really what I
the way he
noticed.
was looking at her like, bro.
Yeah, like, bruh. But yeah, so that was hilarious. That was a great moment on New Year's Eve. The only thing I really cared to see on that night. But yeah. Also, to wrap up the show, though, Biden apparently now is reports are saying that he is regretting his decision to pull out of the race, thinking that he could have beaten Donald Trump. You mean you were forced out, Joe? That's what happened. And the media is acting like they had no idea that Joe Biden was in decline until the infamous debate on live national television, where he thoroughly embarrassed himself, which of course is a lie. They 1,000% knew that he was in mental decline. They just weren't telling the American people. Well, here's a clip from CNN where one of the CNN reporters is claiming that she was shocked and taken aback that Joe Biden was in, worse shape than what they initially thought. And Scott Jennings, one of our favorite over there at CNN, was just like, "You for real?"
Record with regard to the things that he's accomplished, I think will stand the test of time. Now, what my dear friend Scott and others will talk about, and quite frankly, I'm going to say this on it, rightfully so. It was very disturbing to learn late in the year about just how how poor his health has become. And like many, I did not realize that it had gotten to that point. That being said, I think he showed up for the job. He got the work done. I think some of the accomplishments also in the Middle East and foreign policy will also stand the test of time.
You think the Middle East is in better shape today than when he took office?
Well, I think he got our hostages home. I think that's a big deal. I think it's important.
I'm sorry, which hostages?
He's gotten a number of people home. He was able.
There's still 100 people over there.
Well, there were more than
including some Americans. Look, I think he's gonna leave office in disgrace. The Hunter Biden pardon was disgraceful. He's going to be remembered largely for inflation and for the disastrous Afghanistan pullout. And I think as we continue to, we're just getting the first draft of this now, but as we continue to learn about the massive cover-up that went on, not about his health, but about his mental acuity, to cover that up, the efforts that were undertaken by the White House staff, by his family, not in the last couple of months, but for all 4 years, I think it's going to be a really ugly chapter. It's a diminished presidency because of it. And I think we still don't know the full extent of what they did to try to hide what they've been doing over in the West Wing.
So yep, 1,000%. I mean, come on, guys. By the way, Democrats have lied about this for years, and everyone who wasn't brainwashed knew it. Absolutely knew it.
I love how when she was talking and he says, he did what? And she's tried to say it, but it was less confident the second time around.
Yeah, exactly. But
oh, geez.
Here are the lies that they were force feeding you the last 4 years. And kudos to you if you didn't fall for any of this propaganda, because this was all lies. They knew he was diminished. They knew he had dementia. They knew that he was struggling to speak. They knew he was falling down and all this stuff. But they told you otherwise to fool you, to vote for the old man. Remember, this is propaganda.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. I can't even keep up with it.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is
all these people should be fucking tried for treason.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing
18 times for her.
Suggestions that somehow
and bring her back to
he's not
fucking
sharp
life.
and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
You get the picture. But I love how that guy was like, he's okay.
Yeah.
he had a hard time.
He was so nonchalant, like, I met him a couple weeks ago, whatever case may be. He's fine.
But this, however, is the actual Joe Biden. The real, truthful, blooper, gaff-filled, blunder-filled Joe Biden that we saw here on the right for 4+ years, even before he ran for president. And we tried to tell you he was diminished and had dementia and had problems. But we were called crazy conspiracy kooks for this. Well, now it's abundantly clear we were right. Trump was right the entire time.
Look, here's the deal. Let me say this simply and clearly. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. You know how we talk about it. Are we the people? Folks, we gotta. It's just,
Yeah.
but you gotta. I mean, we gotta reassure. Look, here, my message to everybody I talk to is play the radio. Make sure the television. Excuse me. Make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. I got hairy legs that turn that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
A little bit of Star Wars music.
So in a couple years, can you imagine the CN or SNL
It's
skits?
jumping on my lap.
Oh, yeah. My Lord.
You're just as bright and just as talented as white kids. You know, there's a during World War II, you know, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that you know, was totally different than it's called. He called it the World War II. He had the war production.
This shit gives me a headache.
friend.
$1.2 billion in overtime was denied for hourly workers who were not unionized. $1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. What happens? They make you management.
So would you like to say a couple words?
Am I supposed to speak now, or is Karen supposed to speak? I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble here. Oh, it's me. Okay. Well,
she wasn't going to talk to you.
You know, there's that great philosopher, and he talked about Jill puts notes up on my mirror when she wants me to, where I shave, to get messages across to me. And what presidents say matter.
Former Vice President suggests the black community lacks diversity of thought.
We choose truth over facts.
Biden complimented the town before incorrectly identifying which state he was speaking in.
Joe Biden forgot he was in a video live stream and abruptly walked off camera.
I mean, and keep in mind, that's just a very small sampling of the gaffes and blunders from the past 4 years. If you want more of those, I highly recommend you go check out Don't Walk Run Productions on YouTube. He has an hour-long video of 50 of the best moments over the last years.
That shit made my head hurt.
Highly recommended. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, Biden thinks he could have won, huh? Sure, bud.
Oh, yeah, he had it in the bag, big dog.
But Democrats and the media knew about his mental decline and lied about it, deceiving many, and would still be covering it up and defending him had he not shown the whole world how mentally incompetent he was during that debate, but is somehow still allowed to be president for another 17 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's sad. The media and Democrats deceived many, and those people who were deceived into believing Biden was sharp also believe that Trump is equally as diminished and that Trump is literally Hitler. It's utter delusion. That's partially why these terrorist attacks are happening. In some of these cases, people were just protesting Trump because they actually think this. These are the
Speaking of
consequences.
which,
yeah,
they are starting to set up to protest the certification of the election.
Yeah,
at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we'll see if
these
it
are-
turns into an insurrection.
These are just the consequences of the lies that the left tell in real time. I mean, years and years of calling him Hitler and a fascist and, you know, the stuff that he's not have now come home to roost, you know, some of this stuff. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I'm sure I'll think of something. But this is-
Everything of all of our history is a lie. Every part of it. And someday, hopefully, we'll know which parts of it.
Yeah. I know Trump's talked about, you know, declassified the John F. Kennedy files and all these, like, you know, Area 51 and all this stuff. A lot of stuff that we've been told since, like, you know, Titanic, there was supposedly a lot of people who were the Federal Reserve who were on the boat, you know, or who were
And
against
it's
the Federal
not
Reserve.
just our country. Like we were talking, Israel. Israel's going to be, I think we'll know soon. You know,
Again, I want to talk to you off. I want to figure out where you. I'm just curious. Whether
yeah.
we agree or disagree on some stuff. But yeah, I'm just interested in your thoughts. But yeah, I mean, hopefully this will be the scene in about 17 days. I mean, I don't know if this will literally be the scene, but it would be pretty funny. I mean, so yeah, that's kind of all I had tonight. It was a little bit of a patchwork effort tonight. Forgive me. Hopefully this X stuff won't refresh on me next time, and it won't be so hard to do. But yeah. So, any other thoughts you guys got this evening?
Buckle up, it's gonna get bumpy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this shit shakes out.
Yeah. And, hopefully, in 17 days, things will start to turn around, as it were. Hopefully, we can survive those next 17 days.
Make sure you've got enough supplies for the snow coming.
Oh yeah, especially here locally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anywhere you may be expecting snow, it's been kind of a mild winter so far, but I got a feeling that like January, February could be a little bit of a nightmare. So, no doubt about it. Definitely get your bread, get your milk. Apparently, I may have missed the boat on that one, but that's okay. I'll find something else to eat. So that's all good.
Yeah, don't overbuy. You don't need 5 gallons of milk.
Yeah,
exactly. I agree with that too.
Hey, like literally, who drinks 5 gallons of milk in a week? I don't think anybody does.
My brother-in-law might.
Like you
I love my brother-in-law, but I ain't gonna lie there. Like whenever he comes to visit, I know I have to buy 2 gallons of milk because one of them he's gonna drink by himself. And he puts
that's wild.
He loves his milk. Dude better have strong bones. That's all I
He
know.
better shit.
Oh, God. So exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching tonight. Sorry for the technical hiccups. I knew kind of going in after I had some trouble before the stream started, it was going to be a bit of a problem. But hope you guys still enjoyed the show. Please comment below. Let us know what you guys thought. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on Rumble. Follow us on X. You can find all the information for that in the description box below and at the bottom of the screen here and things like that. So do all that sorts of good jazz. And until our next video, guys, which will probably be next week. Y'all good for next week, I think?
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week for episode number 36 of the Dragon's Den podcast. And until then, take care and God bless.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Later.